And tonight, some real intense Doctor Who debate that will get you behind the sofa as we go live with the Sensefear channel.
Hello. Well, I was bopping to that tune, and I have to say, you will hear some edited highlights of our year on the Sensefear, and you'll hear the whole of that music. Some people love it. Welcome to the Fantasyland, I think it's called. So, welcome. And you saw a big thank you there, but I'll get straight into that because, of course, this is all for you. So, if I can just get myself set up, there's always a mistake with me, isn't there? Now, I'll make that bigger because I'm sure you want to see the Doctor Who stuff rather than me. Welcome to the Sensefear Sunday night supper on our first anniversary. Can you believe it? I cannot, I tell you. And we have done it because of that little shot there. I mean, I put the robot of death on there, but, you know, who remembers being a kid, maybe in a dark lounge, on your own while your parents are making your tea, staring at another world and just going with it and enjoying it and not having nightmares, but wanting to be there every week. This is why I do the Sensefear. We can criticize RTD sometimes, we can do various things, but by God, the main reason we're here is that, isn't it? So we've found new friends. We've found a community. I could not believe this. I've seen so many people and panelists and everything. It's been wonderful. So there's a massive thank you tonight before we hit all the big debate stuff. So thank you for joining us and supporting us and sharing in all the laughs, the torment and the experiences of Doctor Who. It has been a blast, and thank you to you all. I really mean that. Gosh, little did I know when I did that first giggle review, and we did a little debate show about Canon being strangling fandom, or I don't know, something like that, that I would do Sensefear saloons, my Panopticon polemics. I'd have a big news dispatches Sunday special. I'd do the Sensefear shorts, the puppet parodies. I didn't think we'd do puppets. A Sunday sermon, the Panopticon polemics I used to do. It's been crazy. Ncuti says it was like a bucking bronco making the Christmas episode. Well, this has been one hell of a ride, I tell you too. But seriously, thanks for all your support, your texts and everything. It's been fantastic. And I wouldn't do it if I wasn't getting that kind of feedback and you know, warmth. So, but it's been hard work, but it's been fab. And we're not finished. We have a Christmas stocking of delights for you, because when we're not on live, we've got Planet of the Daleks, Robots of Death. It's just like Christmas of old. So stick around. We have the Puppet Doctor Who chat show, which we're now final days of making. We have the puppet parody of what goes on behind the scenes at Bad Wolf. Oh, yeah, there's loads coming in the next season with Sensefear. So much to stick around for if you are in our orbit. So please stick around. But thank you for being with us so far. And hopefully we keep delivering. Okay. So, of course, tonight we have a series of key debates. We have 2 panels. So you get to see a lot of people from the very beginning all the way through to now. And, you know, and actually a lot of our original panelists are making the reviews. So even if you're not seeing them on the Sunday, they've been always on board. we'll be talking about what is the future for Doctor Who. And it's not me doing a triggering item. What is the future? We can hear all the gossip and all the rest of it, but I want to know, how can we rectify this? How can we look at certain plot devices? How can we build this show and not get it into a mess? And how could RTD basically do it so easily without going down various roads? So we've got a lot of people to talk about that. But there's fun items as well. We've got the TV schedules slumber blanket to enjoy a bit of nostalgia. We've got the Vox Pops in the Vortex when Whovians, we mini debate what their topics are. So please settle down for our Sensphere Sunday supper, and it's going to be a right ride. And like I said, I've got some loads of lovely fun packages for you to see for the year we've already had. So enough yapper from me. Is that a word? Let's get my friends on. So from the very beginning, we had Hugh in Glasgow, and here he is again. Let me get him in balance. And what's really been consistent, Hugh, is you've always been in portrait.
Yeah, no, it's great.
All right, we'll never get him in landscape. We might see that whole lounge one day, right? But yeah, good to see you, Hugh. And it's been a fantastic year. And I think we still have fond memories, if we look back on our year, of actually sneaking slightly back into 2023 when we did the RTD Imagine documentary chat, and it was just us two.
Yeah, and I think, obviously a big thank you to all the work that you do, Brendan, because I think it's very easy for people to underestimate quite how much work this is for you and quite how much you do. So thanks, and I've appreciated lots of different perspectives on lots of different episodes, and I've enjoyed going back and watching them.
Yeah, and I've enjoyed getting to know you and getting to know fellow panelists and actually making friends. Another friend who I obviously made friends with on a different stream, but here she is. It's Michelle.
Hello.
Hiya, Michelle.
Hi.
It's been a year.
I know. It's amazing. Amazing year.
I know. I could have done an edited highlights package where basically you see me get fatter, thinner, whatever, but best not.
Or my hair length changing too.
Well,
yeah, sometimes it's short, sometimes it's long. So you can also change my hair,
That doesn't happen on any of mine.
And Hugh, a tip from an American: when you are filming the fight, don't have it on portrait, do it on landscape, because we want to see all the gory details.
exactly.
So you gotta do, and also when the drones fly by, put it on landscape, not on portrait.
And to fill our quartet, and there will be another quartet at 7 p.m. So yeah, it's going to be there. Is Jeremy, and what's he reading now? Last time it was German. What is it this time? What are you reading now?
It's Japanese. It's a Japanese Doctor Who book.
Oh God, he seems to have Doctor Who in every language. There he is. Gosh, let's have a look. I'll go large. I'll go writ large. There you go.
And what story do you think it's from?
Oh, Robots of Death or something?
Nope.
I know. People are going, why has he said that? I'm just looking at the arm, that's all. Missy?
No, it's the Auton Invasion.
What the heck?
See?
Okay.
Right.
Oh, it all makes sense now. Yeah.
I was just looking through it earlier on. I didn't know it had got graphics in it, pictures of the some of the story. So it's quite the first time I've seen it. So, yeah.
Okay.
Spearhead from space.
Well, right. Shall we have a bit? Shall we get the laughs going straight away before
Happy anniversary! Happy anniversary, by the way.
Well, no, thank you, Jeremy, and you've been with us for quite a long time as well. Now, I
know.
Go all the way back to Cybermen. That must be
January. I'm getting older.
Yes, we're there. Anyway, let's start the laughs. Let's just see. Now, this one is just taking you back to the beginning. Oh my God! So everybody, this is what we all look like then. We're fans, for God's sake. I mean, I was hearing rumours about the police box going and this happening, and I was thinking, no, but I'll come back. Has the Doctor become too human, too emotional, and too romantically involved with his companions? So subscribe now, please. Give us a like, switch on notifications, and we can help save more fish people from just languishing around with newts, frog spawn, and effluence. We give back to the cosmos. Do you? Oh, Boomer Doug made that for us. So thank you, Boomer Doug, for that, because I've got my own 2 edited packages coming with the Who-Pets and everything and hilarity and everything. But to take me back to the beginning, I didn't have time to go right back to the beginning. But gosh, I remember that green screen behind me and trying to work out how to do this. And one week, I think the green screen almost came ahead of me and there was only my head. Absolutely ridiculous. And you'll see in one of my bloopers, you'll see I'm always having a cup of tea. And I had it in the opening sequence, absolute chaos. I was pressing all the wrong buttons, everything. What have you learned from this year? Oh.
I mean, I think the thing about it is that I've learned to enjoy a lot of stuff about Who that I might not otherwise. And as you say, we've made friends and that's been good. And there are times whenever, you know, I have discovered new views on Who that I didn't know before. So it's been great. Really enjoyable.
Yeah, and I'm open to be challenged all the time by people who might have a different viewpoint, and that is our sense sphere. We are not the type to say we are stuck in our, stuck in the rut. So no, it is my final thank you for now, because I think it's important to say thank you. It's too easy to just be glib about it. It's pointless me doing this to myself. It's just great how it's built. And of course, one of the things that's probably helped it build is we do debate, and we do mix debate, serious points, passion with nostalgia and laughs. And so I better get on with that. So one of them, and yep, the scheduled slumber blanket is coming. You will see the vox pops in the vortex. Now, here we go. Let's just get this out of the way. I mean, I'm not going to be serious all night. I mean, I know that's Blake 7, but oh my God. Problems. I mean, dear me, what the hell was Colin Baker doing in that?
He looks really happy to see you.
He's glam rock, but with an offensive weapon. It's like...
Babe the Destroyer, if I remember.
Babe on the Berserker.
Yeah.
Berserker.
Well, yes.
Currently, that's people in New Jersey right now.
And yes, don't worry, Thread, I'll be there soon. But Rob Alexander says, Who has a future? It remains an important, distinctive part of the BBC schedule. How well that future turns out depends how it's handled over the next 18 months. And we've got our own ideas, so Rob, so stick around, because, yeah, RTD's doing what RTD's doing, but we think there's ways he can rectify it quickly if we kind of somehow forget what's happened in season 2, because we don't know yet, do we? If you want more Christmassy, I tell you, I'd love to find them, those Christmas mechanoids. Look at that.
Brilliant.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'll tell you what, I'm going to start looking for stuff like this, if I can. Mind you, I need to start doing some Christmas shopping first. Never mind that. If you want to feel a little bit nostalgic, look at that. Take you back, 73, Radio Times front cover. Our good old friend, John Pertwee. There he is. Who's your friend? It's the Doctor. And I was saying the other day in our Plan to the Daleks review, he was like granddad. Look. So what keeps you in Doctor Who though, Jeremy? What is it that, in essence, is it a Doctor, a certain story? Is it a certain type of plot? What is it?
I think it's everything, really, and mainly the format. And the fact that the character is always wins through, but he's not a superhero. He's a kind of anti-hero. So he's not Superman or Batman or Spider-Man. So I just like it. I like the way it's produced, and certainly in the classic series as well.
And as you're talking, Jeremy, it's a bit like we've got a classroom, and I can see Heather has just sneaked into the back of the class. I know you're late, love. I know you're late. I've marked your card. Michelle, what got you? What got you with Doctor Who? Let's get this established.
It's just so unique. it's this British TV show and it feels British. And as an American, it's not like anything we would see on TV. To have this character and this franchise that's able to survive through 15 different actors who are able to come in and each make it his own, for better or for worse, regardless. But it just feels so British. It feels so unique. The fact that he is not a superhero, that he goes with around the world around the universe to try to right wrongs, and doesn't always win, and has these adventures with these amazing companions. It was just something that I found it in 2014 after I had moved from California to Virginia, where I'm at now. And it was my first summer in Virginia. I hadn't been hired yet, hadn't met a lot of people. And the Doctor kind of came in and filled this void that I needed in my life that I didn't know I needed filling.
I won't add to it, otherwise I'll fill the show up. Hugh, what were your thoughts on this?
Oh, yeah, I think it's the single best idea for a television program ever, because it allows for anything to happen, and it allows for any format to be used in terms of that. And yet, at the same time, it's, despite doing that, it's enormously reassuring. The changes are part of how somehow part of what is reassuring in it. And that's amazing.
I mean, I said earlier at the very beginning, but I had to take this shot back. That to me is Doctor Who. And I could have put a Planet of Evil jungle there. I could have just said, because I was tempted to show just an alien landscape where you are entranced, you have escapism, you are taken away completely from anything, from your homework, from your brother, the lot, and I mean, does that resonate with you?
I'm trying to think. I mean, my very earliest memory of watching Doctor Who's Evil of the Daleks.
Oh, wow.
And I think it was because they repeated it. So I don't think I remember it from it first being on, but they repeated it in 1968. I think that's what I remember it from. And I remember the scene at the end, and I remember watching that, and I was 3 and a bit, and I was immediately entranced, and that sort of like I watched it on and off. There have been times in the classic series where I didn't watch it on a regular basis, but I always go back to that thought, and that's one of the reasons why Troughton's probably my favourite Doctor. That's my memory.
And people are chuntering in. Now, one little correction before I move on. And like I said, we've got our schedules and everything, and the debates are going to come thick and fast any second now. A few Sundays ago, when we looked at the importance of being earnest, and I did show this publicity shot, and I said, he's in drag, so to speak. Why we always doing this? But actually, I have to correct myself now, folks. Yep, here we go. We've had drag in Doctor Who before. Doctor Who's have been in drag before. There you go. I mean, go spot your Doctor.
and Colin Baker.
Well,
David Tennant in Rab-C Nesbitt.
Yeah, and you've got David Tennant there as well with his skinny legs. Colin Baker looks like one of those. He looks like a pantomime dame a bit, really.
John Pertwee did in The Green Death.
Yes.
And Patrick Troughton in The Highlanders.
Peter Davison behind the scenes of The Five Doctors.
Yes, I had that shot on, didn't I, Michelle? Well remembered. So there you go. Now, of course, let's be up to date and topical, everybody. So, like I said, I've got the debates coming, but we're Doctor Who fans. We're passionate, and we're in for the long haul, I think, really. And so, Thread, I'll be asking you in a moment, but ups and downs of your Time Rota week. So basically, if I'm going to ask you all good and bad news you've heard in the last week on Doctor Who. So if I just get myself set up, here we go. It's the Time Rota. Okay, so Jeremy, good or bad news you've heard this week on Doctor Who?
The good news is that Savages, Doctor Who and the Savages, is going to be on Blu-ray. So I was listening to it last night, funny enough, on the audio.
Yeah.
I just about managed to keep awake. And when I got to episode 3.
Did you know much about? I mean, I know you're a Doctor Who fan, but it's one of those I've not really looked at for ages.
Yeah, me too. It's one of those stories that kind of just sort of hides away a bit like Space Pirates.
Yes.
But yeah, written by Ian Stuart Black, wasn't it?
Yeah. So you're talking about this, the Savages coming back. Well, the next question everybody asks is about the animation quality. So what do you reckon? Are you okay?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I tend to watch the telesnaps with the original soundtrack. That's what I prefer.
Look, I am one of those, and you know I've gone on about colorized Daleks and colorized war games. As in, I'm up for it. And it's the editing that's the issue. So I would like colorized. So when they do colorize, and they do a black and white animation too, don't they? So you've got your choice there. I mean, I think there's only the Abominable Snowmen I've really felt challenged by because they made some changes. But this is the animation. Dodo looks well realized. So that's a shout out. Savages, I'm pleased. I'm a purist. I want a complete collection. Mm-hmm. Yes, we've got them on audio, but I'd like to visually see them. It was a visual, Doctor Who was on the visual format. So there you go. Looks like William Hartnell too. Always helps. Michelle, an up or down of the Doctor Who week. It could be good or bad news.
Good news. I'm all in favor of the Savages being animated. I think the animation looks all right. I mean, I think they're going to try and make it look like if this was animated in the 60s, how it would look like.
Yeah.
So I think they're trying to do that. I do love the black or white or the colorized version. Down is every time RTD opens his mouth, he says something that he puts his foot in.
So what's he said this time that's bothered you, dear? I'm asking this as if I'm in denial. Go on.
The joke about ITV executives falling out a window or jumping out a window. I really we're going to go for suicide jokes. I thought the Doctor was and the creators were supposed to always be compassionate, never cruel, and never cowardly.
I think it's called, unfortunately, they can do it whatever way they want. I know he did say that on the one show. The one item on the one show that grabbed me more was the fact that he said that Doctor Who was coming back sooner than we thought. And that grabbed me. And of course, I did a stream or two. And so if I can just add that there. So yes, he said it's coming back sooner than you think, which it set the wolves off because suddenly we started saying, well, does that mean Disney's dumped Doctor Who? Therefore, they just want to dump season 2 earlier and get out of the way? Or is it because they've got the master plan now that Ncuti and them will be doing season 3 filming sooner than we think? And so once that block, does it mean that because the spin-off is now in the bank as well, that basically season 2 early 2025, maybe autumn spin-off, Christmas episode, but isn't there a big long gap then? They haven't done any filming. So it just got people thinking. But I have to say, bottom line is, good or bad, when people say there's Doctor Who's coming on sooner than you think, I prefer that to gaps. I do prefer to have Doctor Who.
I have a feeling that this season is going to lead into a war between land and sea. So it's probably going to be that it needs to be first. And I think that was the one problem with last season that we almost had, was it a 5-month gap between Christmas and May? And that was way too long. And to me, like, again, Doctor Who is a cold weather, cozy, dark nights, atmospheric. Like, I'm watching more Who now than I do in the summer because it just feels right.
Yeah, I agree. Hugh,
I mean that's actually what I was taking from it. So I'm still unsure as to how much attention I'll pay to it. But I think if it's on earlier in the year, it makes more sense. And what you have a lot at this time of year is you have the BBC doing Call the Midwife, Death in Paradise Christmas specials, which then follow on with the series throughout the winter months, and I think that's a reasonable balance. I think it felt way too late putting it on in May last year.
Yeah.
That would probably be a February to March premiere. Give us 6 weeks of promotion.
I know. I did look at dates and everything. I looked at whether January starts or March starts, with the finale coinciding with the Eurovision on May the 17th.
That's what it would feel like to me if you've got that, trying to make that connection with the Eurovision. Then, because moving about is problematic in itself, but moving about and then still keeping it focused on the Eurovision might give them something that says, okay, what we decided to do is peak with the last episode, and that ties in better, and it ties in better with the flow, and was originally, I think, what they might have intended to do last year.
They might feel more confident. You never know that whether they've got Disney or not. We're still going to make season 3. This is me guessing. And therefore, we're going to go ahead. He's got his scripts ready. So basically, we are going to make season 3, whether it's paid for by them or them or them. So why don't we just get on with getting it on the TV screens and not worry about having a gap somewhere? I don't know. I'm just trying to think. Michael Nemo here says, sooner than you think is corporate spin. But I do think Michael Nemo, from what our panelists are saying, I think as Doctor Who fans, we know it is, as Michelle said, it's a winter program. You want the dark nights. You do actually want to be scared and sat in. I just think that Doctor Who is made for the winter, the Northern Hemisphere winter. I hasten to add.
And you don't want to go too long of a drop off between a show and a season. Look at what happened to House of the Dragons. House of the Dragons was like 2 years ago. It was amazing. Last season came out. Even I stopped watching it because I was watching the first episode. Like, who is that person again? Oh yeah, yeah.
It might be. That might be. You might be very right there. That basically, you know, how many of my streams, and I'm not the only one, were looking at the ratings and saying how they weren't as good as, and they did drop from the Star Beast, the Giggle, etc. They dropped even more. One was winter, one was more kind of spring. That does affect viewing anyway, but whether they think, no, the gap was too big, we need to give Ncuti a chance. We need to get that flow going.
He does. I mean, and also the quality of the scripts last season didn't give him a chance, and also the fact that there were several Dr. Light episodes. I just got a recent. We're a month behind on Doctor Who magazines, and I had to drop my subscription because it's pricey. And so I think I just read issue 609, and there was a brilliant article, which I was surprised they even published, where they said the show should be called Doctor Missing because the doctor's missing from the TV show.
Well, just as I'm about to go into our first proper debate, which I think the Sensosphere is famous for, we want to keep this balance of the passion and the love for Doctor Who. And actually, did you know this? That these are 51 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, the Sontarans are 51 years old now. Hello, if you want to celebrate anything, my God, I am so glad we had the Sontarans in the Whoniverse, I tell you. And yes, we're harking back to the Time Warrior, of course. And yes, they did turn blue for a while, but I do think the concept by Robert Holmes of the Sontaran and that lone Time Warrior, hearing about the cloning of them, the probic vent. I mean, please. I mean, you know, the Sontarans. Have you got a story? Have you got a moment, Jeremy, that just tells you these are great top Doctor Who monsters?
Well, I enjoyed the Time Warrior and Sontaran Experiment and the Invasion of Time. So I always thought that they were a good, classic, solid Doctor Who monster. So you always wanted them to come back, each time. But yeah, I think Robert Holmes wrote a very good monster.
Except, we ended up seeing bits of the Time War. We've seen the Daleks v Cybermen. I don't want to see the Rutans v the Sontarans. I just want that to be a myth that we never see.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that type of story, you can have it run as fan fiction or whatever, but it's not important to what goes on with the Sontarans. And our Rutan in the Horror of Fang Rock, I mean, it felt like calling it a Rutan. You didn't really see the connection in terms of that. But I'm not really that big on having warring factions and enemies.
No. And I always agree the two doctors didn't serve the Sontarans very well because they were basically they were shafted by the Androgums. And I don't think if you're military specialists, you wouldn't be outdone by the Androgums, who were basically glorified cannibals. Why would you cannibals trump military strategists? Come on. They must have factored every strategy in history.
I think Kevin Lindsay, who played the first Sontaran, I think he was absolutely right and spot on with the money playing that role. I thought he was very, very good.
Even his tongue sticking out.
Yes.
Over the Overseer, on the subject of the Sontarans, does anyone know where I can get a nut-free Christmas pudding? I mean, they're Humpty Dumptys, mate. They're Humpty Dumptys. That's what they are. The Humpty Dumpty men. Or Spudheads. Yeah, that's the other one. JWC reviews, the Sontarans were a wonderful creation, but like the Weeping Angels, they diminish. Yeah, the law of diminishing returns it is, isn't it? Lynx was the best of the lot. And I suppose next was Sontaran Experiment. Sty, loved that one. That was different. But no, as Lee Smith says, I've just picked that up there. We don't want the chalk-eating ones.
We don't want the ones tripping over the sun lounges either.
No.
Yeah, it's hard to see in those suits.
Yeah. And finally, over the Overseer, I preferred it when the Sontarans looked like failed Ogron clones rather than weird-looking ones in the Invasion of Time, with a Cockney accent as well. That was the other thing that they always suddenly have accents. It's about the Crotons that sound as though they're from Brummie. I prefer the classic Sontaran, says John Steed, more threatening, made more comical now. As is, we might be coming to that. So that was 151 years ago. So there you go. A little bit of, I don't know, satisfaction with things. But let's start our first mini debate. Get testing you lot out, eh? So, of course, I have my Vox Pops from the Vortex. And so let's have our first item. And if I can just grab it very quickly. I'll think on my feet at the same time. We get people texting several things, and I'll take these from several sources normally. Now, you mentioned the animations, Jeremy, so I'm actually do one on the animations and kind of be kind of sensible about it and kind of link it up. So this is our Vox Pops from the Vortex. Okay, everybody. First kind of one there is this one. So this is from Gary Finney's there. With a new animation of Savages set for release in March 2025, I wonder what's the general feeling about the animations. As for a few good years now, they've adopted the policy of animating all the episodes of stories, even if in the case of a story like The Faceless Ones, episodes 1 and 3 exist. And in turn, rather than stick closer to the original camera script, these stories are often reimagined to try and give those stories a greater scope than they originally had. So do you think this is a good idea, or should the animation stick as closely to the original camera script as possible? Okay, your thoughts?
Yep, they should stick rigidly to the original camera script and the actual telesnaps.
That's straightforward. What do you think, Hugh?
Absolutely. Handshot first, as always, and this debate, you start playing around with things like that, and I don't see what the point is. You're not gaining anything. You're not actually sort of achieving anything. The idea that you're going to attract lots of new viewers in with these things is really unrealistic. So it should be for the people who are waiting to see these things, and that's die-hard fans who want it to look like it did.
Yeah.
So you don't. So the idea of them changing the Celestial Toymaker to more surreal, you don't.
I sort of get what they're trying to do with that, and did I mind it? I just thought it was not. I don't think it's useful. It's my point. I think it's interesting for the person doing it. I don't think it's useful.
Well, I mean, the main question is, did it sell well?
Uh-huh.
We don't have those figures of how many units that they sold of the Celestial Toymaker compared to, say, Power of the Daleks, etc., etc.
Well, we've got Over the Oversea. I'm happy for the animation teams to use some creativity when there's no missing episodes or telesnaps, but when they are existing episodes, I wish they would try to make the two mediums match.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at, because I'm not against the little Easter eggs that the some of the artists did in the background. Like, you know, there's a picture of the master and the faceless ones. I thought that was very clever. And some of the other things, like there's poster boards where they put in little Dr. Hugh jokes. I'm not against that, because actually I know animators do like to put that in there. It's part of expressing their creativity. But as long as they are following the beats and the actual storyline itself.
And lovely to see Terry, with the fact that they have to stick to existing audio, some creativity must be allowed. On this channel, everybody's got an opinion and everyone's allowed an opinion. Rick Storm, I've got some of your screenshots somewhere, so you might flash up later. BBC animation is terrible. Fan-made 3D wheeling space is amazing. Has anyone seen that? It looks fab. But BBC said the fans didn't want it. But every fan I've heard loves the wheeling space one. Did you see that, Jeremy?
I've only seen a little bit of it, but the thing is, I'm not that much of a fan of him. The animations, and the problem with the BBC ones is there's no consistency. They need to get a company that's very good and that can produce, you know, these animations. Whether they'll get the right firm or not, I don't know.
Like a house style.
Yeah, a particular style, but something that is accurate and good.
Yeah.
This is where I was disappointed with the Disney deal, because I thought when I heard the Disney deal that they were going to handle some of, or at least outsourcing some of the animation.
Right. Well, let's you know, we're famous for this. We're famous for our debates, and that was just a tester. That was a warm up for you. So let's go eeny, meeny, miny, more. I've got lowlights, highlights of 2024, and how can we upcycle old Doctor Who to make the future more kind of prominent. I might just throw in that first one now, because I think it's where we all are. The future of Doctor Who, has it got one? Can we rectify things? Can we improve things? So, you know, we have our burning issue, and we've done this since the very first show. We've kept it with the burning issue. So here we go. Our burning issue on the future of Doctor Who. Everybody who calls themselves a Doctor Who fan has skin in the game here. So I want to see a lively thread telling us what they think. Here we go. Now, ages ago, I did, I think it was about 7 or 8 weeks ago, I did a poll on my Twitter, and cancel, reboot, rest, or continue. And 60% plus think RTD's got it wrong. And that was, you know, I was sticking to the criteria, but if you read into one of the other banners, it would be about 80% were not happy with RTD. So clearly things need to be rectified, and we haven't seen season 2 yet. One thing I was thinking of, and I'll be interested in what you all think, is if you think there's only about 7 or 8 really stereotypical science fiction concept plot lines you could ever have, why can't we have, seriously, why can't Russell T Davies and the team, to establish Doctor Who back, you know, after all the troubled years with Chibnall and where we were with the show and the ratings were tanking, just establish classic Doctor Who. And when I say classic, I mean it has a vibe of Doctor Who. It looks like Doctor Who. Doctor Who is Doctor Who, and is, you know, and basically you go back to stuff like this. You have a base under siege. So, you know, hello, the 10th planet, Ice Warriors, Warriors of the Deep. We've done them before, but I think there must be a 2024 way you can do a base under siege, a classic story. Now that to me smells Doctor Who, but you know, the 10th planet doesn't look like Warriors of the Deep. They're two very different stories. Do you think there's mileage in this, Hugh?
Absolutely, and I think so. So while I was saying about the fact that I think Doctor Who is the single greatest concept in terms of a television show, it's because it allows you to do all of those different plots, and not just from sci-fi, but any plot from anything can be used in Doctor Who. And you know, I think the one thing that it has to be is not necessarily hard science fiction, but let's get rid of the fantasy stuff, because that doesn't work in this, because it undermines the rest of the stuff, because it undermines what is being shown. If you don't stick to science in Doctor Who, and you can reverse the polarity of the neutron flow anytime in order to just cover stuff up, but you don't need to have fancy in it, because unless it's something where you have what looks like fancy, which is then shown not to be because of the pesky kids, then I just don't see how it works. So I think you ransack everything. You ransack old Who, you ransack old plots, you ransack what's happening on television, but you make it about science in some way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I rattle through, I'm not going to comment on each one because we can all read. And then I want to see what the thread and the panel think. And I want to bring in a few items from the thread now. There's some interesting points. But yeah, you've got the classic base under siege. You've got alien invasion, of course. You've got the archaeologists. One of my favorites is archaeologies, and they discover something, the tomb of the Cybermen. Oops. That sort of thing. You've got the space plague. Yeah. Bit of that. You've got the quest, the key to time, the keys of Marinus, that sort of thing. You've got time travel. Yes, hello, it is a time machine after all. You've got the Frankenstein idea, create a monster, or humans versus technology, our robots versus of death we've got coming up, or apocalypse, post-apocalypse world. You've got a few items there that we might recognize really well as Doctor Who and science fiction fans. But I just want to, before I bring you in, Michelle, just pick up what a few of the thread are saying and give them their airplay, because we all have opinions on this, don't we? So over the overseer, I get hate from fans every time I say this, but I strongly feel Doctor Who needs a hiatus period so a new production team can spend a decent amount of time planning a stronger future for the series.
Yep.
I mean, Michelle, my personal opinion is it's getting stronger now, unfortunately, that a hiatus period is needed so that, yes, time can go on, but then I do want another producer or showrunner, if they do come in, to almost structure the universe. So how do Cybermen and Daleks fit the same universe? A kind of Gene Roddenberry overview. Mm-hmm. Because the only thing I don't like about Doctor Who is it's too random now, and it's too random for a dodgy showrunner to come in and just play at it like a toy maker. I almost want fixtures and fittings pinned down.
Well, in the classic era, the Doctor had rules. He had the Time Lords were around, and he had to at least somewhat adhere to their standards without getting too much in trouble. I always think of Frontios, where he says, "They'll let the Time Lords know, when he leaves, never say I was here." And because again, he had rules. With the Time Lords gone, there's no rules to the system. We needed to have him as this rogue character with some sort of authority every once in a while coming down on you, because that creates drama, that creates tension.
Yeah, no, I think we're on the same page, aren't we? Jeremy, what are your thoughts on? Well, number one, if I said to you now, cancel, rest, reboot, hiatus, I went through the whole range. What's your instinct saying? Because you don't want Doctor Who dead, do you?
No, but I think a lot of people are of that opinion. Certainly, and have been over the last few years. What I would say is rest the show and come back with a new production team and reboot it. Take it back to its original roots and simplify the whole production to make it much, much cheaper to produce, as they used to in the old days. But don't have any co-productions with Disney or, I don't know, someone else. Just make it a proper BBC programme, if necessary.
So
put it into episodes. Make episodes, two-part episodes.
Mm-hmm. And somebody in the thread, and I may have missed them now because it's got busy, mentioned the 25 minutes coming back. Stephen Braddock said, "I'm afraid my love this year has been RTD shooting season 1. Millie was my high." And actually, Stephen Braddock, one of the items over the next hour or so will be the highlights and lowlights of 2024. We will cover them, don't you worry. Castellan Spandex, love that name. It's too whimsical in the worst sense now. I agree. I want darker. I seriously want darker. I think kids need to be frightened a bit. That's what gets them going.
And actually, it's good for kids to be scared. There's
Yeah.
actually was it C.S. Lewis or Tolkien that one time wrote the essay about the importance of scaring children. You know, and the kids need to be scared because that's how they experience emotions.
It gets the adrenaline going. Yeah, JWC reviews. Got to go back to basics. Alien invasion, mad scientist, based on the Sage. Oh, well, we're on the same script here. I agree with you, of course. SG, maybe get back to 25-minute episodes and slightly longer stories. I suppose in this modern world, we'd have to say 30. Everything has to be rounded up now or rounded down, doesn't it? 25 does sound a bit British and old-fashioned, I think, if you think about it. 30 minutes, maybe. Is the future, but I agree on that idea. I've gone mad about episodes.
Well, I mean, the reason why they were 25 minutes is obviously to put in trailers for other programs and announcements at the BBC.
Yeah, and of course, and I didn't do the joke. I've left it for you, SG. The quest is the quest. Yes, that's a good old plot line there. Yes. The Keys of the Marinus is a great yarn all the way through, and the Key to Time, pretty much. And yeah, John Steed, they need to make it atmospheric, dark on the sets when doing a siege, not bright like Rories of the Deep. I concur totally. So, Hugh, what are your instincts saying? Honestly, rest, reboot, cancel, continue?
I mean, I think for it to continue, it has to rest for some period of time. It does have to be rebooted with a different take. I think that there's been various attempts to do it over the New Who and how that works. I think bringing back Russell was just a big mistake for Russell and for the programme, because it was neither new nor was it going to be something that was going to work, as well as I could see. I go back to that time whenever we watched the Imagine programme, Brendan, and it was obvious, I think, then that Russell was not looking at it as Doctor Who, but as what Russell T Davies did.
Yeah, and I'll bring a thread, an item up that says the fantasy's the lazy shorthand. It's to make it random. You know, I was saying I don't like it random anymore. Yeah, he can do what the hell he wants.
I was going to say, after Chris Chibnall, I thought the only person that can make a success of this is now going to be Russell T Davies, and how wrong I was, because he'd obviously was going off in a different tangent. But I thought that maybe it'll go back to Stephen Moffat. Who knows?
Yeah. Dalek Lives Matter. Hey, I'm watching Peter Davison's era for the first time. I'm very impressed at the writing, the editing, and how all the individual main characters have their own unique role in the team. Dalek Lives Matter. When I go back on the Davidson era, I love The Visitation, I love Earthshock, I love Caves of Androzani. You know, there's some great ones, yeah. But actually, when I look back, Kinder is my big surprise, because when I was a kid, it didn't. Well, I wanted it out the way because I thought, oh, it's not my sort of thing. But it's one of those now I'm thinking, gosh, for me at 12 or whatever I was, that was really interesting on the psychology front and mental breakdown. Very interesting. And we had a planet really run by women as well, you know, in this DEI nonsense now. You know, it was go back to 1981, 1982. So, yes, totally agree with you there. I'm trying to keep up with her. Everyone's got loads of great ideas, but I'll try and cover as much as I can, everybody. Lee Smith, the audience is too scared to switch their TVs on now. Lee Smith, and what do the panel think? You know, this concept of safe spaces, and they're not a joke. I mean, they talk about safe spaces at universities. So can the BBC dare make a show that's designed to scare the kiddies? Because all you need now is some parents to allege that their kids don't have a safe space. You know what I mean? That concept is troubling, and suddenly makes it troubling for anybody to do a Philip Hinchcliffe era, doesn't it?
I think people are more apathetic to turn the TV on versus scared to turn the TV on. And I think some of this cancel culture, we're in a cultural shift right now, is starting to go away. People are getting tired of people being offended about everything. I think it's not so much scared. I think it's apathetic.
I'm scared to watch the news these days. Switch on.
Yes, that's true.
It's more frightening.
Well, let's cheer you up. I mean, we're trying to keep it jolly at the same time as go over serious stuff. We've done a year. Oh my God. Shall we have some laughs? Yeah.
Yes.
Shall we? Let's have a look. Thanks for sticking with us. Big debate coming up in a moment, but there is only one stream, one panel where you cannot predict or guess the responses and views. You're in the right place. Do you want to come with us? Well, then I should warn you, you're going to hear all sorts of things. It won't be quiet, it won't be safe, and it won't be calm. But I'll tell you what it will be, a debate of a lifetime. Well, I got burnt there. Did you see that? That flame, I couldn't deal with it. How did Chris Eccleston deal with all that flame? I've got 3rd-degree burns here. It's a space movie. Look at this. I thought you were wokey. I thought you were a teenager.
No, I want to be a space baby, Mr. Brendan.
That nappy's, yeah, I'm not going too
No.
close. Oh, hold on. Who's the nanny?
I'm the nanny. Hello. Come
It's
on,
the Welsh nanny. Is this Nerys Hughes, the Welsh nanny?
I know. Did you notice that? Did you know the nanny? That's the most amazing accountant I've ever met. Who was that nurturing? Normally they couldn't give a damn. It's all about the money. You shouldn't have been lying, Walkie. You'll never see us again.
Oh,
Bye.
Mr. Brendan, will you help me?
Yeah, you're not a refugee. Bye. When Doctor Who fans have peace, it seems to me at the moment RTD brings discord. Where Doctor Who fans feel happy, may RTD bring disharmony. Where Doctor Who fans understand their show, RTD seems badly out of tune with it. I mean, did this episode create a sweet symphony of Doctor Who magic or a screeching, scraping bum note for you? It's Jinx Monsoon, here we go. The puppet can drag.
If you don't mind.
What the hell's this? What the hell? Look at this! Look at that Mrs. Slocum pink hair. Look at that.
There you go. That's right.
It's not a monsoon, it's more like a damp drizzle.
The reason I have never done drugs is to avoid experiences like this.
Grandad, what are you dressing like that for? What the hell?
Well,
Don't tell your grandmother.
yeah, don't tell your grandma. She'd get a shock if she came home now. Hold on, you're woke. You're wokey. You're supposed to like this.
I do, but I learned from being a space baby yesterday.
Yeah, he's only just got back. He found some shore for refugees. Off you go now.
Come on, Grandad.
Yeah, I think Grandma's coming back. You better get sorted. She'll go mad.
All that Dalek mania in the 1960s shows that they were simpler times. People had low expectations.
Listen, young lad, World War II can't be forgotten just because you want more RuPaul or Love Island on the TV. The Daleks are merciless, ruthless, just like those German soldiers were. And it is a bit rich from you, my lad. You lot crave safe spaces, so no one even looks at you funny. No one speaks contrary to you. The only safe space I had from the Daleks was behind the settee. But he's in a very confined space with the Brigadier with the lights off. How would the shooty doctor deal with this one?
Well,
Just
Probably forget while you were there, the brig would be going, Doctor, what about the dinosaurs? And the doctor would be going, huh? What? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes. Is that a time scoop? Are you pleased to see me? I don't know. I mean,
Or he'd say, oh, you look great in the dark.
yeah. Brigadier, I want to take you to the golden age. You know. There is only one stream. Yeah, we don't do it twice. Yeah, that's classic me. Does that bring back any memories?
Yes, happy anniversary.
I know. It was funny to see. They take over them blooming hub. They're taking over the whole show. So anyway, I want to maximize my time with everybody. It's nice to cheer us all up as in these angst-ridden times. So basically, the other one I wanted to do with you, of course, is our lovely nostalgic item.
Sensorites have found a way to take control. It's our minds that they take over. Speak up, I can't hear. Earthmen have visited the Sphere, but we do not wish to harm you.
Oh yeah, we all need a scheduled slumber blanket. Oh yes. So let's take one. Let's go back timey-wimey and show the panel and the thread a time when Doctor Who was on a Saturday night. So let's take a look at this one. Here we go. And I'm going all the way back to December the 12th, 1968. I was a little nipper. I was about blooming half a year old. And you've got Grandstand. You'll always get Grandstand on Saturday. Well, you won't now, of course. And then at 5:15, you've got Doctor Who, The Invasion Part 7. Then you've got the news. Then the new Lucy show with Lucy Boyle, of course. 6:15 D time with Simon D. He was big then. He was like the Jonathan Ross of his time. And then Dixon of Dock Green, our big police kind of drama in Britain, in London. And then 7:30, the Val Doonican show. Oh my gosh. Well, whether you're around or not, does that make you, I don't know, does it make you kind of go, oh, Hugh?
Yep.
I mean, I remember all of those, which is quite scary. I did the whole Simon D thing is weird because he was like Jonathan Ross, but he was like Jonathan Ross for 15 minutes. It was the original 15 minutes of fame. It was all of a sudden there and then gone within 2 years. Val Doonican, I saw Val Doonican live a number of times with my parents. Not necessarily my choice, but there we are. There is something cozy about that.
And I try and work out whether it's just sentimentalism or something, or whether it's just nostalgia for myself. I mean, obviously that time it doesn't ring a bell with me because I was only 6 months old. But yeah, when you recognise the lineup, I mean, we're all talking about the Christmas special on Christmas Day being on at 5:10, but actually there's 5:15, The Invasion, the Cybermen attacking London. Didn't seem to bother us then at 5:15, so 5:10 on Christmas Day shouldn't be an issue, should it? Daryl Joyce, good to see you, and everybody check out his website because he's got a lovely animation going on at the moment. Doctor Who should stop pretending it's family orientated, go on later in the evening and be darker. Daryl, wasn't that what RTD said in the Radio 4 interview? He said he has 28 versions of what he could do with Doctor Who, and one of them is on BBC 3 late at night. He seems to be dismissing, Daryl, that if you make Doctor Who darker, it has to be on late at night. So maybe that answers my safe space question. Still with humour and not excluding kids, but not prone to the criticism that it should be suitable for all. Well, we'll see.
Well, this idea of darker has to be sex involved. So that goes back to the sexualization of Doctor Who.
Well, exactly.
So, darker can be mature themes, is more violence for, warfare. It doesn't have to mean someone's dropping their trowel.
Jeremy, does this ring any bells regarding some programs and make you feel better, or is it putting you off?
Yes, it's a very good lineup, except the fact that they don't have children's TV in the morning, apart from, was it Laurel and Hardy?
Yes, Laurel and Hardy, yes.
But I was about 5 or 6 years old then, so I don't remember watching Doctor Who in the 60s. I really can't remember it. It's a good lineup, though, I must admit.
It's a good lineup, and the Dixon of Dock Green did go into the 70s when I still saw a bit of it. Evening. I don't know. Did he say Evening All? Did he start with that?
Yeah.
Evening All.
Evening All.
And he had a. We'd say we don't like preachy times. He did seem to wrap up his Dixon of Dock Greens by standing outside of the police station or somewhere, didn't he? And he'd had a moral or something.
Yeah. It was always done with a moral and a little story. It's one of those shows though that is quite clever because it allowed people to do different types of stories. Again, Dixon Dock Green lasted for 18 years, 76, I think, if any. And it suffers from the fact that lots of it doesn't exist anymore as well.
Yeah. They've found a couple, haven't I? No. Moffat had the best ideas.
Even up to, I think, they've got the last two seasons in their entirety, and that's at 74 and 75. And then before that, no series in its entirety.
Moffat had the best idea of aiming for intelligent 12-year-olds. He didn't patronise or lecture his audiences over the overseer. I always go on about Genesis of the Daleks, being a 6-year-old or something, whatever it was then. Dixon was about 90, says Castellan Spandex. The old thing he could catch. I always remember the clip when he says, The worst thing in the world is a bent copper. That's a bent copper. And, you know, a classic. But of course, as Paul Richards is saying, there was Juliet Bravo later. And yeah, we every country likes its police dramas. I mean, we all got Cagney and Lacey. We got The Streets of San Francisco.
Frank Cannon.
Starsky and Hutch.
Columbo.
NYPD Blues.
Dragnet M12 for Americans.
Policewoman. Angie Dickinson.
So instead of going fantasy, why couldn't we have had Doctor Who meet Star Cops? You know, and something like that. I mean, talk about rectifying. If you're going to hit something that humans and viewers love, I mean, Line of Duty, you know, it grabs people. If you're on the money, RTD could have mixed a quest idea, sci-fi concept with something else, maybe like a space plague, and had it like almost like a crime drama in space, and had the Doctor, who obviously was in Miss Marple, on parallel lines with the actual official police. You know,
look at the numbers that Ludwig got. And Ludwig is you know, it's another one of these slightly odd detectives who could easily be playing the Doctor in many ways, because they're not seen as normal. They're alien, at least in the sense of not behaving quite normally.
Yeah. So this is it. I know when you look at those schedules, it isn't for me just to go, there's a schedule, what do you think of it? Bye bye. It's to kind of go, you know, I don't believe that television viewing has totally changed. Everyone thought it had. RTD was right on the money with Lorraine Heggessy when actually 2005 they structured a whole Saturday night and they got families watching again, Strictly, Doctor Who, the lot. You can do it again. I am in no doubt. Parents are desperate for a reason to sit their kids in front of them all together and all laugh together at something, all being engrossed in something. It's just, I don't think it's being made. That's all. And I'd like Doctor Who to be the program that does it. But as we know, Doctor Who sometimes sounds as though it's putting some of the parents off. So as I'm about to say goodbye to some of my panelists, what I want to say is that as I go around the three of you, I want to ask you, it's a year of Sensphere. It's a year of the season 1 and the specials just before then. You know, what I'm not going to say what's your journey been, but basically one thing you're hoping for in the new season. And I mean, we can be cynical, but one thing you really are hoping for that might get us back on track. Hugh?
Simple stories that make sense and about whatever Russell wants to preach at me about.
Yeah. Get back to story time. Yeah, stories and not... And we mention it. Our Planet of the Daleks, you'll see the three of us talking about this somewhere over Christmas, and we'll say whether there's politics in it or whether it's just a decent little message. So, Hugh, thank you for your service to the Sensphere, but I know it will continue. And see you later, okay, my friend?
Yeah, take care,
Hugh.
everyone.
Bye.
Good wishes to all of the thread as well. Thanks for all of the comments. Really enjoyed them.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So it's a bit like we do the turnover. So of course, as Hugh leaves, I will say hello to the Queen of the Walk. Hello, Rachel.
Hello.
Your Majesty. Your Majesty.
If you sort your mic out,
Hello. I forgot that. I was so busy just watching where my lighting was going. I forgot to bring it up.
I know.
Hello,
I've never done this before, so I hope this works. As in, you know, it was swapping panels. It's like musical chairs, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Michelle and me, no, we all know each other. Yes,
we know each other.
We do.
You've gone for season 1 together.
You've gone for Warriors of the Deep lighting, Rachel.
Yeah, spooky.
Yes.
It's like, oh my eyes.
Yeah, still not fixed the lighting situation.
The drunk micro walks in the background.
Oh, I don't know, but I thought let's go for the Warriors of Deep lighting by putting the light up there.
Yeah,
it will be fixed soon. Eventually, I've managed to get one screw out of the lighting box. That's it. They're very difficult to get out. I don't know what's going on.
And if you're doing Warriors of the Deep lighting above you, you've got Michelle, and looks like a Peter Davis. I
trust justification. Does that mean also you have a screw loose?
Yes.
Oh well.
What you need is a sonic screwdriver.
I do need a sonic screwdriver, but not a sonic shoe driver. I need a screwdriver.
So Michelle,
shooty.
thanks for your year with us, and I'll see you in just a couple of days' time when we're going to do the 5 Doctors review. So I know.
Bye.
Thank you, and we'll see you soon. Okay, Michelle.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Michelle.
It's like, I tell you what, it's like a rotation process.
That was literally like, hi, bye. I haven't seen Michelle for ages.
Oh, I know. Sorry about that. I'll get us all on one day.
It's like and there were none.
I know.
There were none.
So I've got let's have a look. Now I'm gonna go back over the pond. If you're gonna lose somebody from America, you need to get somebody from North America. And so we've got Brian. Good to see you, Brian. Or should I say the David Tennant Doctor?
Oh. Very
What?
good, Tenant.
What?
Oh
Oh,
God!
he's got Sonic as well.
Oh, there you are. Look at you, Brendan. Oh, chat about it. Don't shout. I know I'm terrible.
Allons-y. Just say Allons-y.
See you, Brendan.
or what you say is change, but on a moment too soon. That's it. So,
Barcelona. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Barcelona.
How you guys all doing today?
We're very good, and I'm just kind of doing now our topping and tailing of all this sort. So, Jeremy, again, thank you for the year you've had with us, and please continue. And I will obviously see you and have you on again if you're happy to.
Yeah, no problem. Nice to see you all.
Yes.
Bye. Bye.
What's this program reminding me of when the people come and go? Now, this one is a problematic guest. This is a problematic guest. We have to be careful here. So hold on a minute. Yay! The contrarians here, Rachel's here, David Tennant. So we've got the Queen of the Walk now. We've got the contrarian and/or Santa Claus on with attitude, and we've got the 10th Doctor. So there you go. Talk about. Yes, as Lee Smith says, it's celebrity squares. This it's
Happy anniversary.
Well, thank you. I'm sure you saw some of the clips. My God, it's scary, really, what them hoopettes can get up to. But let's get on with it. As I said to Hugh, I don't like to be too indulgent on this one because obviously we're Doctor Who fans. Debate, we're fired up. Now, one thing I was talking about regarding the future of Doctor Who and all the rest of it, and where we're heading is what we perceive as what went wrong and what went right in this last year. So, of course, you know, that might kind of dictate how we talk about this. So basically, let me just get myself set up here. So I'm going to, let's go a bit negative, as in, what were the low lights? Where did you think RTD got it wrong? And I promise people in the thread who think I'm getting negative, we do then also then start talking about the positives. Okay, so I know I'm going to just say, and this is to evaluate. I'm not going to go through the whole list again. Like, you know, let's do a whole spin on by generation. Which ones are you thinking are the most problematic, troublesome things of the last year? Thread, come alive now, and you tell us while my panel thinks. So here. Now, there was an article about this, so to help the panel and help the thread, but this is not saying this is the list. This is just a prompt. So I'll go big screen for a second. So what did everybody think were the most problematic things about what RTD did last year, or sorry, this year in Doctor Who? Remember, we will do the positive in a moment. So here we go. So you've got the twist at the end. It has been argued that that was a whole load of nonsense. The whole concept, remember, there was going to be a son as well at the end of the Sutek one. Where is the Whoniverse? We keep getting told there's going to be one, or are we being impatient? Starting with the space babies and lots of things we could say there. The midnight premieres, diluting that whole family process. Doctor Who going too Doctor Light. Splice's strange behavior in Boom. the kids' behavior. And of course, that was just, there's a lot of question marks about whether that was just a bit too contrived. You've got Sutek's reset button of death. The whole Disney drama, this, will they, won't they sign up or not? And have they, dictated what RTD writes and all the rest of it? If you're going to do a historical story, wasting the Beatles. Ruby's resolution, I mean, do we know why there was snow all the time, apart from it just takes you back to where she was dropped off? So you don't even have to refer to them, but I am going to ask you, and I'll keep an eye on the thread. So, hello, Rachel. Sorry I haven't asked you too much yet about life, but we'll go straight at it. But Rachel, where are the problems from this year, really?
Where do I begin? I don't even know where to start with that one. There's been a lot of problems. If I was to think of a specific one, though, like just to be specific, the giant MacGuffin that Ruby's resolution was terrible, absolutely terrible. There's that, but also I think it was the Rogue episode, and it was the fact that they let two writers just do whatever they wanted with it, and they've not got like a experience in writing sci-fi, and they just made it the most irresponsible version of the Doctor that we saw in the entire series, and that's being quite polite. And I just don't think it fit. Yeah, okay, they know Regency, whatever they've written for Bridgerton and things like that. But really, it was a poor representation of what the show actually was, and in some respects, what Regency actually was as well. And it was just their take on Bridgerton. They were putting Bridgerton into Doctor Who, and they were obsessing over that. And it was a mess, that episode.
Mind you, to join to one of your streams, yeah. I mean, I'll flick through. You don't have to refer to every slide. Don't worry. But you did a recent stream that did very well, which was obviously about this is a mess at the moment. And I think that your point there was basically he's doing too much himself. He should have a writing team, etc.
Yeah. Yes. That was the other day. Actually, I did that one, didn't I? I said that they really need to think about retiring the role of the showrunner, because Doctor Who is this big epic thing, and it takes a lot of work to get it right. And I think if you're writing almost all of the episodes, it could be a hindrance. I don't think it necessarily helps everything. Whereas if you actually take a step back, bring in writers who know what they're doing with sci-fi and history, and get them to work together. And yes, if you're going to have an overarching plot, you can oversee it all, make sure it all comes together, and hopefully then you get a bit more creativity and probably less plot holes and things like that. I just think it's time to step it back a bit. They've done showrunner ever since they've brought it back. Yeah. So it's time to calm it down and just get fresh ideas overseen by a producer, not a showrunner.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah. And I do think the BBC needs to kind of get the brakes on a little bit more as well, because I think it just seems to be Bad Wolf can do what they want. The contractual deal seems to be that almost is that, just get on with it. But the BBC should say, hold on. Mr. Contrarian, hello. So
hello.
Are we going to have a fight about this? Are you, everything this year's been wonderful, has it, Simon?
No, it most certainly has not. The breaking of the fourth wall caused me apoplexy, and the twist at the end twisted my gut so badly I nearly died. It was absolutely horrific. Now, poor old Sutek, I think you can just write off by saying Sutek lied. He wasn't on top of the TARDIS all the time. He was just telling a fib, just to wind the Doctor up. So we can forget about that one. Now, the whole business of science being replaced by fantasy, I can use the Arthur C. Clarke get out, being that technology that is sufficiently advanced to be indistinguishable from magic. We can get into it that way and become aware of the technology. that is suitably advanced. So we can sort that one out. But breaking the fourth wall, there is basically no useful point to it at all. It destroys the immediacy of the show. It ruins, frankly, everything. You're willingly suspending disbelief on a large number of counts, and then somebody winks at you directly or plays the Doctor Who theme. That's just not acceptable. That is an absolute mistake. Now, the good stuff, and there is a lot of it, has to be dug for, and you have to actually watch the program to find it, rather than saying, oh, all these terrible reviews, it must be grot completely. Well, if you don't watch it, you have no ability to make a judgment, shall we say, politely.
And we will look at the highlights. That is a promise. So good to see you, Zero Room. Brian, over there in Canada, how was season 1 landed for you? I mean, I know no fan who thinks everything's been swimmingly brilliant. So again, do you think have been the biggest problems of season 1 before we go to the positives later?
Okay, well, it's exactly as Simon had said. I was so disenchanted. I think it was after episode 2, I gave up. I had such problems with Jodie Whittaker's era that I thought RTD was going to swoop in, because we all know he was hired to save the show. It was not looking good, and instead, what we ended up with was a completely over the top, breaking the fourth wall all the time. Doctor running around in his tidy whities, being overly like PC, like again with Isaac Newton. You know, some people it bothered, some people it didn't. I was one of the people that it did. It's like, if you're going to be a stork, be accurate. You know, you've got plenty of room for freedom as far as the writing goes. Plenty of room to make things up. It's fiction, but. Hello, Simon. Did you want
to point? There was an interview, a two-header between Moffat and RTD, in which RTD said all of those questions will be answered in the series 2, in the season 2.
Of course.
So let's hope he's right.
I hope so, because otherwise, because you know. That particular episode, you could look at that was just a diversity quota, because other than the Doctor and Donna and Grandad, you didn't have any people of color in it.
Well, true, but I think it's also a joke. I mean, throwing the Mavity thing in there.
Yeah, the Mavity stuff.
I do think that's the touchstone of it's going to be fixed, because that's obviously rubbish.
Yeah,
I just hope that it wasn't the Toy Master. I always get his name wrong. Making mincemeat of the Doctor's history through magic. But I've given my opinion as to how that could be undone.
The contrarian, you know what RTD1 did with the writer's tale. The 4 Knocks was one idea. He had the 4 Knocks idea. He put it in the Planet of the Dead, and he still hadn't worked it out. He's a clever enough writer that he can play tricks and think, well, one day I'm going to have to sort that out. And I think the Mavity and all this fantasy stuff, he's relying on a stressful few days sorting all this out, and maybe saying it was all Bobby Ewan in the galactic shower, you know, that kind of thing. But I just wanted to put this up at Brian. Over the Overseer says bringing you back was utterly pointless.
I agree. I agree 100%. We all know why it was done. It was just to get the old viewers back and the new viewers, and then together we would be all one big happy family and start the new series together. And after 2 episodes of fantasy garbage with musical notes flying around in a piano key, catching them and twisting them up in the air, the space babies, it was just atrocious. I couldn't believe that they even called it Doctor Who anymore.
So Rachel, with your, I know you represent yourself, but obviously I love to ask you about your acting background as well.
Yeah.
why do you think David Tennant would want to come back and play a very different? Oh, sorry, I say a very different Doctor, but you know what I mean. He's a more diminished Doctor than he was before. Why would he want to do that?
For the love of the character. It's very clear when he did it that he enjoyed it. I don't ever return to a job unless I really love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, there was one job that I did, and I did it 2 years on the trot because I enjoyed it so much. You know, it was Christmas jobs. So they were just Christmas performances, but I enjoyed it so much. I was like, yeah, I'll go back for a second year. I'm not going back for a third year. I've decided I want to move on now, but I went back for the second year. And Michael Nemo has also said money. Yes, that too. That's also a factor, and he probably would have got offered more money. But also maybe because he thought he could help save it as well. And if there's any agenda, that's just going down a route that maybe, you know, we could explore at a different time. But
I've got a quick answer to it, and that is he knows what's coming because he paid attention to the line where Ncuti said his soul had been torn in half. And so we can see the two halves of the Doctor we know and love displayed as the Tenant and the Ncuti. And at some point, they should be re-amalgamated, is my hope.
I hope so too. There's also that. I also theorized, I think it was in my last stream, that perhaps maybe RTD wanted to do a spin-off with David Tennant, which is why they separated, but it got canned.
Yeah,
but that's just a wild theory that I threw out there.
Yeah, because everybody used to say the BBC, maybe quite rightly, were always scared of ever doing a parallel thing to challenge the current Doctor. It was always, you know, they didn't want to ever show repeats of another Doctor, for example, and never wanted to undermine their present Doctor. But RTD, always thinking he knows best, might have thought there's another way of doing it. He certainly does want the Whoniverse. And going back to this original allegation or criticism, this group of criticisms, if I flash them all up again, just to remind you of some of them. Yeah, I mean, where is the Whoniverse? We know they've made the war between the land and the sea 5 episodes, but there has to be more there. And in the Doctor Who magazine, he did say there's another secret project. So whether that's Rachel's onto something, that David Tennant might be lurking somewhere, whether obviously there's going to be a series with the Susan companion when she eventually does come back, we assume she will, or whether we've got some other kind of secret idea going on. They need a Whoniverse. They can't just have classic Who as a back catalogue plus this and a bit of class and a bit of this. So
there's a huge amount of material in the audiobooks from Big Finish. They are really good, some of them. I mean, quite astonishingly brilliant, especially the Derek Jacobi ones I've listened to recently. They're crushing, splendid.
There's some that you listen to.
Part of the universe.
There's some that you actually listen to, isn't there, Simon? Where you think, oh, that really could work on the screen.
Well, yes, but you'd think that would be rather expensive to attempt.
It would. They'd have to work that out. I mean, they managed it with Dalek, so
yeah. Well, Crimpline's agreeing with Simon. I sincerely hope that Simon's correct and that David Tennant is back in the season 2 finale, reuniting the two halves of the Doctor. That would go a long way to fixing the show. Crimpline, I understand that could be an amazing concept, and it. In logical sense, it could do that, but isn't it dangerous to toy with the viewers for 2 years and risk them not coming back? That's always the danger. To dice with people. I mean, is that absolute utter arrogance to play with an audience for 2 years and just assume they'll come back once they know there's a logic to it all?
Well, that's RTD.
Well,
I mean, I honestly don't see a payoff for bringing him back at all. I want Doctor Who to continue. I want it to go into the future. And, if they want to do the bi-generation, they split and David Tennant goes his own way and Ncuti goes his way, fine. I don't ever want to, I frankly, I don't want to see David Tennant again. I don't want to see Ncuti either. And I don't see how, if they do come back together again, how will that fix the show?
Yeah.
It doesn't, because it's RTD.
They would come together
RTD's
and
idea.
another actor would play them. It would be a full
That
regeneration.
but he would be, he'd still be under control. And the BBC has, as he said, they've given him 100% creative control over that show. So I don't think, as long as he's in charge, after what he's done, there's no hope for that show until he's gone.
Well, has he
That's my personal opinion.
Has he got official control over Series 3? Which doesn't exist.
He's got it over 1 and 2.
Exactly.
Maybe they could take it away.
We've got Stephen Braddock agreeing with you, Rachel. We all want Paul McGann, but yes, he'd make RTD's Doctor look bad and act that we're off the screen. So therefore, that's probably not going to happen.
Expensive.
Very expensive hire that would be. He has a lot of charisma, Paul McGann.
He does. He does. He does have a lot of charisma, and Crimplin's agreeing. I mean, I appreciate your point, but if that's his experiment, it is extremely high risk. Would the BBC have bought into? I'm going to do this 2-year play about with the audience, but it does fit one other thing, Rachel, which is he has baited the Doctor Who fans. So isn't doing a 2-year fantasy hocus pocus thing that, like Simon says, it'll all be rectified in the end. Isn't that the biggest bait in history? And that's, he's got form.
He has got form, yeah. And I would say it is the biggest bait in history, but would they stick around for it? I mean, a lot of people are switched off already.
Well, yes, but we've now got permanent on demand. You can go back and check to see what happens facility.
That's true.
And I think maybe RTD is banking on that, because the old shows, I mean, the support Ian Levine's reconstructions are getting, which are vastly better than the animations, by the way. They are really getting some support, and all the other stuff. I mean, people are watching on iPlayer all the other episodes. I don't know what the viewing figures of those are, but they must be good, or the BBC wouldn't spend money on the bandwidth.
Boomer Doug, good to see you. Find a way to bring McGann back, even for a mini-series. I mean, if you can bring David Tennant back, then of course you can bring McGann back. There's no reason at all now. He's done that one. I tell you what, just on that final point on if he does this amazing 2-year mess on, and then suddenly the two Doctors are reunited as one again. There's a double whammy there. There's the fans who didn't see the 2 years through. But then there's the other fans, and like I said, I always refer to Dallas. I did watch Dallas all the way through. Then Bobby Ewing came out the shower. Then we stopped watching because we had just, therefore, in review, wasted a year of our time on something that actually, apparently, we were told was just a dream. Then we left, and a lot of people left Dallas then. So RTD, if he ever has done this trick, he's got the danger of losing fans over the 2-year period. But then other fans who stuck it through, who then go, "Oh, you have played me. I'm out," and out of anger. What do you reckon, Brian? If that happened, Brian, would you, in your case, because you stopped watching, would you go, right, okay, then all bets are off, I'll join again and see what it's like?
There's a part in my brain that just knows it's not going to happen. I think it's wishful thinking.
Yeah, it is.
I don't see how bringing them together again, and then there's going to be some great resolution where suddenly the people who haven't been enjoying Doctor Who for the past several years are suddenly going to say, "Oh," and they're going to jump back on the bandwagon again. Yeah. I just think it's RTD being too clever, thinking he's wonderful, and he's done it again, and it's going to fall flat on its face, just like last year.
If you make a remade traditional Doctor series with some Easter eggs that plug the gaps and tie up the knots of the 2-year hiatus area, it practically was a hiatus, so it wasn't the Doctor, that would be acceptable, I think, for all fans. if indeed it got good reviews, saying, "Oh yes, he's back properly," and then explain how he got there. I mean, that could be done. I mean, any of us could write the little links that would tie up those knots, wouldn't we?
But regarding, and just before I move on from the mistakes, the big mistakes, and a final call out to the thread and what you think the biggest mistakes were. You've said a fair few, but are they on that list or are there other ones? Because as I just do the final roundup, I mean, I have to say,
all
the background noise regarding Disney, and it may just be contractual background noise, just takes me back to the late 80s when we knew Michael Grade wasn't happy. We knew Jonathan Powell, the control of BBC One after him, wasn't happy. And you just got that vibe that Doctor Who was a wounded animal and they were waiting to kill it off. And it's just, it has a kind of sense of that. Maybe I'm triggered because I'm an older fan, but you know, you get that kind of sensibility. And just before I bring in my panelists on what their final thoughts on this are, Michael Nemo's thoughts are: if Paramount said that Star Trek Discovery, Stranger New Worlds and Picard were a dream, I'd be happier than Ncuti with a ball going. I know Star Trek Discovery Series 1 I loved. I still haven't done Stranger New Worlds. Can you believe that, Michael Nemo? And Picard, I heard season 1 I should leave and just join. Is it season 2 or season 3? I understand that, but
watch them all. They are very, very watchable.
So, final thoughts on this topic, Rachel. I mean, you know, I just mentioned Disney then, that it just had a vibe of the late 80s, but you might want to pick on another one where you go, for example, just quickly, why did he start with Space Babies? Did he really think that would win a lot of people back? Anyway, you don't have to answer that one.
It was just silly toilet humor, really, that one. I mean, right. So, okay, just as a final thought, I think it's a mistake doing midnight premieres. I don't think it adds anything to it. It's basically they did it that way to like aid Disney, you know, so Disney sort of get it on their platform and we all get it at the same time.
Yeah.
Theoretically, but then, you know, what happened was not everyone has a streaming service, so they would have to wait anyway for the release in the evening. So it just, I don't know, just get rid of it. There's no point in it. You can release it at the same time on Disney Plus, at the same time as it's released here in the UK when they release it. Well, anyway, I just don't like the idea of midnight premieres.
Yeah. Boomer Doug's biggest mistake was alienating existing fans. Stupid, arrogant move and bad business decision. Mind you, Boomer Doug, there's a lot of there's companies out there that are quite happy to bait their fans. You know that. Bud Light, the whole lot. You know, there's quite a few. Seems to be a trend. Simon, your last thoughts on this topic regarding something you really wish RTD had not done this last year?
Well, the fourth wall, playing popular music that will date and making it front and center, proper stereo sound rather than sound in the background that the characters are listening to. That's an aspect of breaking the fourth wall as far as I'm concerned, and just destroys the entire mood, the entire flow, the way we watch and appreciate the program.
Yeah. And Brian, one thing he really should not have done.
The very overt over-sexualization of the Doctor. I mean, I don't know how you have a, quote, straight Doctor running around flirting and whatnot, but for somebody else running around going, hey, baby, and, you know, hitting the nightclubs and all that stuff, it's like, do we really need this in Doctor Who? The answer is no. I'm not watching Doctor Who for that. I remember back when Peter Capaldi was cast, and there's a video, I can send you the link of there was a teenage girl, young girl watching the Peter Capaldi being revealed, and when he came on screen, first it was who's that, and then she just started screaming, oh my God, he's ugly, that's it, I'm done. based solely on his appearance, and I was just shocked that somebody would base it just on what they looked like. I want to know what's the show going to be like, and it turns out we've got It's just, I know things have to change, but they don't have to change that drastically.
But for example, I mean, you know, because I've done this strange kind of split panels tonight just because it's our first anniversary. Early on in the first hour, I showed this and I said, this in essence is what I think Doctor Who always was and always should be. Yes, fads will come and go in how you make it, what the Doctor looks like and all the rest of it. But this seems to me to correlate with actually what Paul Clark was just saying then. I'll just get his comment up. I want Who out in space, not a soap opera on Earth. And to be honest, if you had Robots of Death on the screen or Planet of Evil, Jungle, I am taken somewhere else. It's pure escapism. And if you're worried about mental health of kids, give them escapism. Let them fly. That's personally my opinion on please get it back to actually what Doctor Who always was before 2005.
You are aware, I take it, of Elon Musk's robot version 3, which will be available for about £20,000, which he believes there will be 20 billion of in about 5 years. We will have humanoid robots walking around doing the dishes in our house.
I remember seeing Tomorrow's World do that as well. I had a kind of robot housemaid, and that never happened.
Yeah,
I got a dishwasher.
But these creatures work. They actually do walk around and do these things. Now, if they do it sufficiently well to be released into the wild, dunno. But his way of doing things is he tries, it fails, he tries, it fails, he keeps going until it works. And I think he can do it. Technologically, it's feasible. Sociologically, I have my doubts.
Well, here we go. We you know, sense for you tonight. We're bouncing around like there's nobody's business. So basically, one debate down, there's other debates to come, and we will be positive about the highlights as well. Anyway, I will try my best. But here we go. It's your turn. Set panel number 2 on our...
Sensorites have found a way to take control. It's our minds that they take over. Speak up, I can't hear. Earthmen have visited the set sphere, but we do not wish to harm you.
Now, in the first hour, we went back to December 1968. So Rachel was thinking, oh, well, cheers for that. And so was Brian. So I've gone a little bit later. It may not be late enough, but I'm getting a little bit better. So can I take you all to, and we are now November the 25th, 1983. And it's and it's a Friday for once. Now, we all know if we're Doctor Who fans, that means it's Children in Need night, and it's the 5 Doctors. And if I just said, oh my God, listen to this. Now, excuse me, Brian, for a second. I'll explain if you need to. So we had Play School, Mighty Mouse, Jackanory, Take Heart, Crackerjack, then 60 Minutes, the news programme, then Sports Time, then Children in Need started, then Doctor Who for 1 hour, 40 minutes. 5 Doctors, then the news, then Knots Landing, bit more Children in Need, then the James Last concert. Oh my God. I mean, you know, where do you start with that? That to me is a phenomenal. I mean, you get a bit of soap, get a bit of America, Knots Landing. I quite like Knots Landing. And you know, you need to see a bit of sun. It's quite nice on a Friday night in November to see a bit of sun and a decent cul-de-sac where they're all posh Americans. Rich Americans, but the 5 Doctors could get all your sweets out, your crisps. You could sit there and just kind of go away. And it was in the days when you wouldn't get any Children in Need ticker tape going across. It was just, there's the program. So Rachel, you weren't, I know, but is this one night you're envious of missing?
Well, the only thing I would really know anything about is obviously Doctor Who and Children in Need on that. But
what about Mighty Mouse? What about Mighty Mouse? No,
Mighty Mouse. Did you say Mighty Mouse was on?
Yeah, we've got Mighty Mouse. We've got Jackanory. After
Wait.
Play, Yeah, at 4:20 was Mighty Mouse. Is that more your style?
I vaguely remember Mighty Mouse.
There you go. I know.
Vaguely though. Wasn't that David Jason? David Jason?
Danger Mouse was.
Oh, is that Danger Mouse?
Yeah, that's
I
ITV.
misremembering.
Take Art was that fab art. I love that.
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, Crackerjack. You knew it was Friday, because of course it's Friday. It's Crackerjack, and it was a little bit of variety, really. But nobody seems to watch now. But then it was kind of peak time. I'll come to you next, Simon, because at least you'll know some of these fixtures and fittings before poor Brian.
I
But
can't give you much of an answer. I'm afraid I don't know much.
right,
about
Simon, were you with the BBC at this point, 83?
I most certainly was. Oh yes, I joined in 78. I actually worked on the 5 Doctors and Play School.
Oh no! Well, please tell us a little bit more, because everybody would go mad if I just moved on. Hello, we've got. So, tell us just tell us some tidbits about your 5 Doctors experience, please.
5 Doctors experience. Where shall I go? Well, I recorded 2 scenes. One was not a particularly big one, where the Hartnell Doctor, played by, please remind me,
Richard Turndale?
No. Anyway, the very nice guy who has sadly died, and Tegan Jovanka coming up to an object, and she says, "It's an entry coder," and that was about it. But
yeah, that was Richard Turndale. Yeah,
it was recorded on 2 quadruplex VTRs, huge machines. You could get 2 perhaps into a modern bathroom, as in quite a large room. These machines required compressed air to run. I think they used 3-phase mains. The tape was 2 inches wide. The spools were this wide themselves. You could perhaps carry 4 simultaneously, and each tape would only run maximum 90 minutes. I had just completed what is known as the videotape maintenance run, where the machine was so big, bits of it could be taken out, maintained, and put back in again. And this was the videotape head, which was a chunk which rotated vertically, well, actually at a slant, and the whole gubbins would come out and be mechanically sorted out, put back, and then realigned with the tapes and all the settings, of which is about 100 on the machine. So I had just done this, just finished this thing, and for some reason, the producer, "Oh, come on, please." Those names gone again. This is my long COVID mucking me about. And anyway, he came down to watch. Why on earth? I have no idea. He came into this little room with me and these 2 huge machines. And I set the machines up. That's the thing you did. You were given 45 minutes to make these machines work each, because they were engineering marvel.
When you were doing that, being a Doctor Who fan as well, and you're in house, when you're messing around with all that, did you then have a good nosy at, like a sneak preview?
Well, absolutely. I'll just finish this a bit quickly, because I made the test recording and thought it was rubbish. And I knew I could fix it by picking up these spare heads and stopping them in. And it's not JNT, the bloke before him, the 3-letter man. Oh, come on. Anyway.
Jonathan Turner.
Thank you. Yes, he was. Yes. Not RTD, JNT. Yes, he was.
Yeah.
He was absolutely delighted by the care and attention I put into doing this, that he said he wanted me to record every Doctor Who program from then on.
Right.
Of course, it never happened, but there you go.
You mean he was talking
this little shot that was in there. I did another bit later, which is the bit with the doctors right at the end. We're all talking about it and arguing.
But do you see
behind the scenes bit was how very annoyed John Pertwee got with Patrick Troughton. Yes, the stress in the show was in the rehearsal as well.
Yeah. Are you seeing these film and video sequences before they've put the music on and before the fan? So basically, you see it
coming
you see
raw
it,
out of the studio.
So that's what I mean. You see it as the viewers should never see it. So the point is, sometimes it can look too cold and clinical and uninspiring and unatmospheric. So I mean, have you ever seen any Doctor Who in your time doing that job when you've got, oh my God, that's a bit not so hot?
Yes, and it's a fairly big bit. It was in Earthshock when Adric dies. I recorded that, and that was different machines, and Matthew Waterhouse goes up to the machine, the computer, and he's crouched over it closely, typing away merrily, thinking, yes, as he did, and he went bang, and he flew back. And the producer thought, I didn't like the way the Cyberman didn't groan enough, so they did a take 2. And in take 2, he's going,
yeah, he did.
He's going to blow his head off if he gets too close. Oh, idiocy. They could have done a cut from I mean, they didn't. Why? I have no idea.
So thank you.
That explains a lot.
It does, because when you see Matthew Waterhouse, he's very tentative, isn't he?
It does.
That's the reason. Oh yes.
Now you, Brian, you had your hand up. You said you'd seen something. Yeah, go on then.
I have. I was lucky enough living in Canada. It was, I believe, during an Olympics or something like that. We were getting resurrection of the Daleks. Peter Davison, right? That's his the last Dalek story with him. For some reason, it was actually aired as 2 45-minute, if I recall correctly, 2 45-minute segments. And for some reason, the second one had no music, no sound effects. It was strictly dialogue, and you could hear people clicking on the triggers that turned the lights on and off on the Dalek guns, and people just going, and falling down on the floor. And I wish I had it on tape. It was the funniest thing ever. I've actually tried to recreate it by taking the soundtracks to Who episodes and just taking the voices out.
I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, obviously, my background's a teacher, so whether I've managed to, with BBC educational programs, and sometimes they use it for better reasons than an accident. I have seen an element from Resurrection of the Daleks where, they're in the warehouse, as you say, and the Dalek is free. It's underneath one of the blankets. And there's a man who eventually gets attacked. And that. There's a whole sequence, and I have seen it dry with no music or anything, a bit like you say. And then they show the kids in this BBC educational video how you add dubbing. And so basically it's an educational piece. So I've seen it dry. I've got it somewhere. In fact, that might be interesting. But I wonder if that's similar to what you've seen. But you've seen a whole episode, you said.
An entire, actually, I think it was 2 episodes together. If you look it up, it's under Doctor Who somewhere on Wikipedia or whatever. But if you Google, the Resurrection of the Daleks, North American, you'll find it eventually. And it was like, I love Doctor Who, but it was just such a treat because my friends would usually make fun of it. Most of my friends would make fun of me or make fun of the show.
But you would. I mean, I'm thinking of Tegan leaving and she's in the warehouse and it's all echoey. And if you had no extra dubbing or music, because there's a bit of music when she goes, Doctor, I've had
that music was actually quite good. Yeah.
Yeah.
The music was gone. There was nothing.
Oh, God, it would be a bit empty and echoey.
Just shooting that gun, click, 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 click. Yeah. And then people just,
Oh, no, because then it looks like acting. And that,
if you want to call it acting. Without the special effects, it wasn't really acting on some of them.
Talk about breaking the fourth wall. That just blooming wrecks the wall. That absolutely.
There we go.
Yes, there you
the
go.
Last 40 minutes of Resurrection had no sound at all. I saw it with sound.
A pneumatic tape, a Sony pneumatic, 3/4 inch sort of massive block cassette machine that would have been used for the cipher system. It's a synchronous post-helical something. My father used to work in television sound, so I found out about these things. He worked on Doctor Who as well as these names at the end every so often in the black and white ones. And that would have time code in vision, the black numbers across the bottom. Now, that would be used to synchronize the cuts and everything with the master tapes. Now, another thing, in those days, television was stereo. Until, again, my father worked out how to record in stereo, and which he did, honestly. There are 2 tracks, 2 audio tracks, and only audio track 1 was the one that had the music and effects put onto it. Audio track 2 would be the out of the studio master stuff. So it could be somebody just flicked the switch the wrong
Mucked it up. Well, we'll keep moving. We make no mistakes on the sense sphere. In fact, let's tell Porky's there. Here we go. I mean, it's our anniversary, so we should indulge for a moment. Here we go. You may see a mistake. Look out for the red tunnel and my cup of tea. Here we go. I'm now Shockeye of the Corny Grig, and I want my lunch. Hello, my name's RTD. My job is to write for Doctor Who. I'm a super fan. That iron, I think it could be a cleaner from Paradise Towers. Do you know, I'm stimulated by everything. Stimulated, darling. Now, excuse me, I can't talk anymore. I've got to finish the season finale, Empire of Death. It sounds amazing, darling. Oh, I'm prolific. People don't like the research.
Give me the loving. I bet you thought it was a yummy yeti.
Through the prism of 2024.
Oh, prisms now.
Yeah, well, what was once acceptable in 1975 is no longer tolerated by Gen Z.
Nothing is.
And the progressives in society either. There have been too many trunks of evil wheelchair users.
Name one. I wasn't looking through prisms, my eyes were on stalks. When your grandma used to go swimming in Crosby in the local baths, she was a very good breaststroke, I tell you. You've seen what I'm hinting at here. I'm going to lead with Sutek returns. That's my big theory. I'm not recognising the Doctor, Hugh. I mean, the Doctor would have had a real moral conflict with a bounty hunter.
Which the TARDIS did. They even wrote the TARDIS going, this man's a moral vacuum.
Why are you bending over? What's going on? What's going on? Your guard.
Oh, man.
Take it away. Stop it right now. No. A bum of the Cybermen.
And there you have the dangers of Americanization in the future. They call that a police box. That's the future TARDIS. Ambulance for RTD. No. Well, I mean, that was from our New York film and shoot, if you don't mind. But and that there's more to come. We have hundreds of clips of the Who pets in New York and Niagara, and they've done a whole Dalek invasion and everything. But yeah, that brought us up to speed. And again, thank you to everybody who's watched us or been on my panels. There's so many people. It is a thank you. I've absolutely loved it, because even when I'm knackered, the 7 or 8 hour preparation days, you know this, don't you? Too well, Rachel.
Very.
Why do we do it? It's nice to get feedback. It's
because we love it. We love making videos, streams, and things like that. But it is very hard work. So thank you very much for doing them, because I enjoy them. I don't have to do any work except for watch the episodes. That's great.
It was a lot of work making the original television programs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hours and hours and hours.
So you know me, I was advised by some panelists to kind of do a bit of, you celebrate for a second, and I think you have to. It's always important. I used to say to the kids at school, you have to enjoy the moment. You can't just always look ahead. But what I will do is get us back on the money. We're here for debate. So here we go with Vox Pops in the Vortex. Ooh, so here we go. From William Who. The reason RTD2 isn't landing for a lot of fans is because it's not RTD1. RTD1 was very down to earth and highly character focused. RTD2 isn't. It's got a fantasy feel I don't think is as good, and it feels less character based. I've accepted that's why I'm not vibing as much. And then Harry the Hoovian says RTD has lost his spark. He's evolved a lot as a writer since his first stint. Loved all the work he's put out since, but the last series of Who felt flat to me. I wonder if Julie Gardner took a step back, as she often reined him in when he went too far, as seen behind the scenes. Your thoughts, panel?
Probably.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I agree with both.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yep. I mean, yes, William Who and Harry the Hoovian, well done. Yes.
Yeah.
We all see the difference. I mean,
there is a difference.
Julie Gardner, I mean, this is what I mean. I worry now about what's going on. I think the power dynamic, has possibly changed, because in the first iteration, Julie Gardner and Jane Tranter were high up the pecking order, and they selected RTD. Now in this era, RTD was selected and he said, I want Bad Wolf back. So basically he's the kingmaker now. The whole power dynamic is different. And therefore, how can you put the reins on him? He said in an interview, didn't he? And I've done it in a saloon, where he talks about he wouldn't work with anyone who questions him. But then he says he tries to do his best for people like Jane and Julie. So I do think Julie Gardner, she's now in LA, isn't she? She was based in Cardiff before. So she's further away. I know they can do Zoom calls and all the rest of it, but she's further away. And I do think she scrutinized his scripts and she did talk to him quite a lot. So it's an interesting point from Harry the Hoovian.
I would say, actually, when I think about what I saw with what he did with Christopher Eccleston and with David Tennant in his first run, I think a lot of what we get now was probably always there, but there was always someone to pull it back.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now there's no one to do that. He's pretty much got the full creative control. So, you can see it, but it's pulled back for sure.
I mean, books and television programs and films have a sub-editor.
Mm-hmm.
They have somebody that checks, and television should be the same. And when it has, it works. And when it doesn't, it doesn't.
The snag is, it's a clever wheeze, isn't it? If you're the showrunner, you are more powerful than the producer was. You also, if you come back a second time, having been the kind of strange messiah, you are less prone to be challenged, I would just guess. If, for example, if I apply it to teaching, if you have a head teacher, we will question decisions because that's allowed. But if you got a super head in, drafted in to save the school, you're not going to question, and you're not going to be put in a position to. So I think RTD2
in prison, haven't we? Some heads have actually been imprisoned.
Well, they may have been, but
well, I mean, really, yes. I mean,
but RTD2, I think, is in a much more elevated state just by the dynamics of returning to save it. Who's going to challenge him? So when you mention Simon, script editors and stuff, quite rightly, we've had Eric Sayward, we've had Robert Holmes, we've had Terence Dicks, really powerful ones and valued ones. Not a chance in hell do I see anyone now with the chance to question the messiah of Doctor Who.
Not now.
They get it in the neck. They wouldn't get paid for it. If somebody was paid to overlook him, it would work because he's not a fool. He would work according to the pragmatic circumstances, and as he's been given complete free reign, he's using it. But if that were to be tightened, he would work within that, I think.
So Brian, over the Overseer here says, why do we think Russell is so antagonistic towards fans this time around? I mean, why do you think? Because that is a change.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen a few video interviews with him where he ended it by saying it's controversial, or this is so controversial, and then he kind of clasped his hands together and said, "Isn't it fun to be controversial?" And I'm like, not if you're pushing the wrong buttons. It isn't. And that's...
Yes, because controversial sometimes means you are actually completely in the wrong. You're up against the majority.
Right. I think he knows. He knows. I think he knows that he's upsetting a lot of people, and he thinks, "Isn't this fun?" I don't think he really cares about the fans so much as he does about his version of the show. I think that's what it is. It's my show. I can do what I want with it, and if you don't like it, touch grass.
It made me think of something. What you're just saying. Someone asked me on my channel the other day why I don't actually think he's ever brought Robert Sherman back in after the Dalek episode, because obviously he very clearly knows Doctor Who, and I'm just like, I really can't answer that. But maybe it's just differences. Maybe it's because Sherman would. Sorry, go on.
No, I'm trying to just help you out there in your rhetorical answer, because when I went to Dwas with John Daly in May, Rob Sheeman was on one of the panels, and of course they're all sensible. You all want a job. I mean, he's hardly going to say I'm going to slag off RTD. But there was something about me watching him. I didn't video it, you know. I've got a tiny touch of it, but it wouldn't give anything away if I showed it here. I got the nudge and the wink and the glint of the eye that actually Rob Sheeman. It's a bit like Gareth Roberts. Something's changed. RTD, he doesn't like the cut of your jib. No, I don't know whether there was some discussions, hostile discussions about how Dalek was made or written, and it could be a two-way process that Rob Sheeman found there was an awful lot of re-scripting going on, and it's like I don't need that.
Because he wrote it, he adapted it, because he wrote Jubilee, and so he adapted it for the screen, because obviously he'd written for the screen, got that experience. So it made me wonder if there had been some kind of like perhaps disagreement or something when it was going on, or maybe there's differences of opinion now as to the reason why he hasn't come back. But I really couldn't answer it. But if you saw something like that, then maybe something did go on behind the scenes.
Well, Michael Nemo's answer is he was always this way. He just has his power now. That is possible, you know. That is very possible. He does. He does have a very high opinion. I suppose you have to at that level. You know, I mean, you can't challenge yourself, or even if you have doubts, you have to just shout them and blast them away. Great to hear from Grant G. Still laughing at the Ncuti Gay puppet. Well, I'm on trend. I'm on trend. You can get that lovely gay Yeti fur from any puppy or dog outlet. Very cheap. My big fear, says Babette, is that when a new showrunner comes along, RTD will remain producer and in control due to Bad Wolf still being the production house.
Would he though? I thought showrunner was above producer.
Yes, it is. I feel as though because Rachel, it seems to be all friends now, and they all owe each other. I know Bad Wolf technically can sack him or remove him, but it's not going to be done like that, is it?
Don't think so.
So he'll have some role. I mean, the only thing is if it absolutely collapsed on them, but there's no sign it's collapsed. It's just that we don't like where it's heading. As Paul Richard says, come on, there's a bad smell here. Eccleston walked for a reason. RTD treating what he considers the lower orders beneath him. The rumor, there were different things. Number one, Chris Eccleston has he got dyslexia or something? And he didn't like the last minute rewrites all the time. It was all last minute, which is unhelpful. It's hard. The other version was that Chris Eccleston possibly didn't like the romancy stuff and all that stuff going on, and maybe some of the glib farty Slovene type stuff. And he's a serious actor and thought, hey, I'm trying to give you everything here, and this is a bit. There's different stories about that era.
Yeah. There's
And
interviews
we
with
just
him
hear
where
the
he said,
stories. We don't hear the reality, and the stories are told from a particular perspective. Seldom do we get the same story from different perspectives.
Except RTD has thrown his aura in slightly, and Chris Eccleston had held back, but then RTD didn't. So therefore, Chris Eccleston has felt over time to say a bit more. Brian, what were you going to say about that?
Oh, I was just saying that Eccleston was quoted as saying that I think it was soon after starting, he found that people who were not the stars of the show, if you weren't big enough, you were treated horribly. He had said that some of the people, a lot of the people on the production crew were treated terribly just because they weren't stars. It wasn't like a big happy family working together. He said the people were just not treated. They were treated so horribly that he was like, I don't want anything to do with this anymore. Now, he never, of course, explained what any of it really was. But there's that big clip that you can all see now on YouTube where they asked, if you were to come back, what would need to happen? And then there's that, in that northern accent that I was talking with you, fire, sack Russell T. Davies, sack Jane Tranter, and sack Julie Gardner. Then I'll come back. And Billy Piper was sitting right next to him. And boy, did she look uncomfortable.
The other thing is it's interesting that he said, right, okay, as Simon says, the stories and all the rest of it. The trouble is when there's a vacuum, people fill it. But it's interesting that when Chris Eccleston said that on that stage, Brian, why did he conflate it with the other two? And this is my point, that he sees them all as thick as thieves now. You can't just get rid of one of them. They all think the same. There's that mind, that group think. So it's interesting because I don't get that feeling from RTD1 era, which was Julie Gardner was quite high up and she really did scrutinize and question, and Jane Tranter too. And I get the impression now, nah, and Chris Eccleston's going, nah. Maybe when he saw it in action, he said they're just too tight.
Yeah, I mean, he worked with RTD on the Second Coming. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
And they loved working together so much that he instantly said, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it," or almost instantly. I'll do the Doctor. And it was only within months that he was like, "I'm out. I quit." Yeah, it's amazing from one show to the other. I don't know. Maybe their true colors came through when they all got together for Doctor Who, and he realized, I don't like working with this guy.
It's cliques are interesting.
His cliques.
Yeah.
Cliques are interesting, aren't they?
They are very interesting, and they're very nowadays. We've seen cliques in everything. I mean, where there's power, there's cliques. But what's fascinating in 2024 is they have the power to cancel. They have the power to actually finish your career. I mean, just talk to John Barrowman, for example. They really do have an awful lot. And I'm not going to name anybody else because it's only a nice little channel ours, but there are people out there who there are rumors about in TV. There's no police investigation complete. There's no this, there's no that. And everybody happily cancels people without any due process. And that is different with cliques now. That you can be finished and there's no evidence there proven in front of a jury or anything.
I sent Brendan a clip, a link to a YouTube video about how terrible Doctor Who has become. Did you watch it, Brendan?
Not yet, yet, darling. Not yet. I've been producing that.
The thing is, it was incredibly well put together. Artificial intelligence pictures, gloriously produced with a human voiceover, because AI voiceovers are still dreadful. And it was thoroughly and utterly negative in every way. And I just wonder who is paying for this, because that could not have been cheap. And I'm not going to give the link out because I don't want the thing to get
No,
any,
it was
any creep.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Here's
I
a-
just wonder if it is part of this general let's destroy Britishness thing, which we're told by the great government that is being done by international operators who wish to defeat the United Kingdom without war.
You never know, but I will move on because we're a slick operation here. Now, Fira here, and there's poor pensive Adric before he was blown up by that typewriter. Anyway, I'm getting tired of human companions from the modern era. Bring companions from different time periods or planets or even non-humanoid beings. I tell you what, if you have any more human companions, number one, RTD seems to think we have to have some romance. Number two, I'm sick to death of them being 19 and having some problem that he has to solve. He says in season 2, there's a companion-centric arc. Not again, Belinda Chandra this time. It should be the Doctor in space. Let me remind ourselves, why can't we just have this? Why can't we just go off into space, robot planets, alien technology, space viruses, archaeologists discover a tomb of some new monster we've never released before, that sort of thing. Instead, we have human companions with human frailties, which used to be okay. You know, they'll scream a bit and everything. But now, obviously, they might have a special identity issue that we have to discover, or they have to go and find themselves because they're adopted or fostered or this or that. All great in a soap opera, but not please for this sci-fi program. So I'm answering now, Fira. Yes, I'm getting tired of human companions from the modern era. The trouble is, I don't think we can bring companions back from different time periods because it's the same mind virus that you'd have this kind of revisionism of history.
Like you're old as well.
Yeah. You'll find some DAI Henry V or something, you know, that sort of thing. So I think it would have to be other planets or non-humanoid beings. And I say, bring back D84. That's what I say. What a great companion. I know he blew up. Brian, what are your thoughts on that one? Are you sick of human companions because of the reason I said, or am I being harsh?
I mean, I know they put them in there so that the audience can relate to them, but I am getting sick of, like you said, the super young 18, 19-year-old companions. And I realize that a younger audience has to connect with somebody. But yeah, in the classic series, we had people like Leela, who was the most amazing. I mean, she's technically still human, but from another planet.
Yep.
And it was there was a great I think I remember telling this to my mother years ago, and I said that there was like a great Pygmalion kind of twist, especially in Talons when they're trying to teach Leela how to use the knife and fork, etc. And she just couldn't get it. She just doesn't get it. And I thought those are some great opportunities for who that are being missed now.
Yes.
Jamie being from another time period, he doesn't understand everything, thinks it's maybe magic or who knows what, and the Doctor has to explain what it is.
Very helpful.
I think this is a treasure trove of plot lines and characters that are being completely ignored.
Because you do that, then you're accused of rewriting history and stealing old plot lines. But I don't care. I think you're right. I think why not? It's a good idea. You know, there are similar people around. They should be treated similarly.
But I think there's a clever way. I mean, you know, RTD and the way the media is, they want to teach us about humanity, about humans and all the rest of it. There's a different way of doing it. You don't have to plonk. If you want to teach us about something going on with the human species at the moment, or teenagers, or something that they have to talk about, all you do is you have an alien companion, and we learn about what it is to be human because we see how different they are. The whole point is you can do clever things. Like you said, Brian, Leela, yeah, she's humanoid, but, you know, from another place. If you had Chameleon again as your companion, because of the fact that he's a robot, you realize what's missing from a companion or from a human being, and the doctor could refer to that. There's so many different ways you can do this without saying, oh yes, you are this and you're representing, and here we go, and we go down that kind of bandwagon. Rachel, what are your thoughts on this as a, are we over this? We know why they were there in the first place, but I don't know if
well, it made sense when they brought it back, for sure, 100%. That's fine. But yeah, I'd be all for moving away from the contemporary modern day companion. I'd be up for that. Historical, a companion from a different planet. We've had companions from a different planet before. There's no reason why we can't do it again. Yeah, I'd be up for it.
Yeah, John Steed says, well, you had Nissa.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's it.
And Adric, of course, was very alien.
Those two companions were going through my head. Turlo as well was from a different planet.
He was, yes. He had the little triangle thing, didn't he? Sean?
Can I point out that we can now have real robot dogs and real robots, humanoid ones, and somebody writing stories of a companion who is AI generated could be done with a real AI robot now. Now, that would be positively scary.
Terrifying.
That's
really nice to say about it.
Not sure what I would. I know. I think, look, there's different ways of re-energizing a program, and I think we've done one thing to death. A 19-year-old girl who has issues to do with parentage or something. It's like, oh, we're done with it. I'm done with it. Done with it. Okay, then. Us, we don't hang about. There's a burning issue I need to ask, so hold your horses, everybody. Well, this is when I just get my lager out and I just go, right, well, I'm going to sit back, panel, and I'm going to really throw it up to you. We should be positive. The burning issue for you is in season 1, or in this last year of Doctor Who 2024, the Whoniverse, where are the positives? I was going to have a tumbleweed animation there, but I will... Go on, I'll throw up a few, though. You can see there, for example. I'm playing fair.
They are there.
Yeah, they are. So, for example, I'm just toying around there. So it is back on primetime TV. Doctor Who is back. Some would argue, is it Doctor Who? But anyway, the Blu-ray classic season releases are going well and truly. The Doctor Who animations for missing episodes. Doctor Who has never looked better. Tales of the TARDIS introduces classic Who to new viewers. The spin-off series is building the Whoniverse. Doctor Who does have global reach now. Ncuti's star is in the ascendancy. Return of Mel and Unit. There's a fair few there. There may be others. I may be over egging it. What do you reckon, everybody? We're trying to be the sense sphere, be fair, be balanced. And that's why I need my lager now. This is going to help me do this item.
Well, there's the obvious stuff, all the production values, superb music, the very, very good acting from very good actors a lot of the time. Only very occasionally do you get somewhat subpar stuff. Well, that's quite often just due to not very well written lines. The fact that it is there is important to me. That it shows that the Doctor can exist in the modern day, even if he doesn't exist the way I would be very happy with. Those are all positives, and I can wait for it to come back into my way of wanting the Doctor to be, and I'm sure it shall.
Yeah. And there's still a lot of people, as I'm coming to the other panelists, who are talking about all the companions one. Oh, I mean, and just before we do, because honestly, it's fired them up. A Viking companion says Babette, or Neanderthal companion. Be great for the dialogue. Fire. The unlucky child, I found a problem with that one. Paul Richards says a Menoptera companion. I get a vibe that a lot of Doctor Who people do want to see the Red Planet revisited with the budget nowadays. A Dalek companion. Now look, Dalek lives matters. Your Dalek rights can go too far. I don't want. Do you mean a D-84 Dalek, a friendly little Dalek who's a sucker for the Doctor? I'm not sure. Michael Nemo, though, on this score says, in Big Finish, the Fifth Doctor picked up an older Nyssa, and she travelled with Tegan and Turlough, who was still younger. Oh God, Rachel, I've not seen that.
Yeah, they're very good stories. So yeah, I can't remember which story it is, but they decided to bring back Janet Fielding and Mark Strickson, and they did these series of stories, and Nyssa leaves at the end of Terminus, and then they go off and doing whatever, and it's like literally 2 days for the Doctor, Turlough, and Tegan, and they meet Nyssa, but she's like 50 years older. She's like 70.
Oh gosh,
it's really good, and she's trying to find a cure for, I think it was something called Richter syndrome or something like that.
Yeah,
yeah.
So I'll come to Brian. Brian, any positives? Any positives in the whole general year?
Any positives?
Yeah,
the
I think I've done
releases
really
are nice. I like the
thought I've
Blu-ray
done-
releases of the classic series.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I'm done. I honestly, I haven't seen anything that's made me happy. Gosh, I think my panel time has been reduced so significantly. Because what do you have to say?
Brian, I need to tell you, behind the scenes at Bad Wolf headquarters here, the Sensory headquarters, Wokey the puppet has just been nabbed by our dog.
It's okay, I'm safe. I'm back.
Oh my goodness.
Have you got a head? Oh God.
Here's a positive for you. There's shows like this one talking about Doctor Who. In 1985, when there was no show, I was trying to recolorize the Pertwees, and Doctor Who production office did not care at all. And it just me and my friend Keith and another bloke called Ian were the ones trying to get things together. And we were alone. We could not imagine that this would happen in the future. This is mind-blowingly fantastic for me. I mean, wow.
No, that's true, but it's a bit meta, isn't it? It's not. I mean, the main program, classic, as Brian was saying, the releases and the animations, the Savages. I'm up for that. Yes, on YouTube, Rachel, myself. I know Zero Room, you're going to do stuff. I know you do stuff. I mean, everybody's doing stuff, and it's very creative, and it's actually lovely. You're building your own community, but you know, we're all talking about the main show, and we're wanting the main show to just get it right, aren't we? That's the thing. Divine and Dragon here.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is that we don't really compliment the execution of ideas in postmodern Who, but instead we reference classic re-releases or technical wins, nothing current. I know in our reviews, we looked at Boom and that massive LED screen, which they're really invested in. I know I seem to, Rachel, one of the things I recall you saying more than once is about this green screen thing and things looking flat.
Yeah.
You've not been happy with.
No, I don't know. I just didn't feel like they were putting enough effort. I mean, sorry, it takes a lot of effort to put things like that together anyway, so I really shouldn't say that. But it just didn't seem right. There was, something very off about it.
It's matching the lighting conditions of the
that too.
Back
I said in the trailer that the about the trailer that the lighting was really weird with the dinosaur and that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, go on, Brendan.
No, you know the snag, isn't it? I'm fighting with puppets, and now I'm fighting with a dog. And as Link Smith says, get the dog on, get the puppets on.
Fight. Let's have a look at the culprit.
Yeah, Brendan, you're getting boring. Get these, yeah. And it gives me a moment to say, yes, when I get a few minutes, which is coming up over Christmas, there is the Doctor Who chat show with just the puppets. They've already interviewed Gary. Cybermat Strikes, who hates the puppets. They are dying to get his head on a plate. I know it's dark, but they're dying to. I will deliver him to them. I've asked Rachel. I'm sure Rachel will do it. Are you up for it?
Would the chat like me to do it? We'll put that to the chat.
The puppets won't be kind, and they will ridicule, and they will tear you apart. Apart from that,
I'm used to that.
So it's the Muppets, but with my Hoopets. I'm sure you'll do it, Brian, won't you?
Do what?
Take a roasting from the puppet.
Yes. Deliver yourself to my puppets for them to absolutely go at you, and they'll ask you questions about Doctor Who, but they'll interrupt you and just cause mayhem.
I stood up.
And Brian, you didn't read the small print in my sense for your contract with you. It does say you can't say no to that.
My mind instantly went to the wrong place with that question. I couldn't get back from it. I couldn't get back from it.
You see, look at the thread. You know, savage by the puppets. I know.
By puppets. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's what we all like. Tickled by Bigsby. Please, Hoopets, don't hurt her. I know. She's the queen of the walk. They'll find a way around.
I'm sure they do it.
They will. Divan and Dragon says, you can do it, Zero Room. You can do it. Come on. So talk about riffing. We've detoured. Yellow card to a lot of us. We were being positive apparently, and then we went negative.
I do have positives.
Go on then, Rachel. Go on then.
Okay, so all right, well, we'll start with the fact that they released the animation on the Celestial Toymaker. Now, it was a bit surreal and things like that. But for someone like me who finds listening to the audio recordings very difficult, to actually bring it to life and put it onto the screen in animation form, for me, that's amazing because I finally get to see something that will help my sort of like aid in my visual and my listening comprehension a lot more than it would just be, when I'm listening to it by itself. So I get to see it. And I get to understand it more. So that for me is a positive. The animation is a bit weird, and I perhaps would have liked them to have done it more. I suppose you could get away with it with the Toymaker, but I would have liked them to have done it a bit more sort of like how it would have been done. But okay, I'll give it that.
That is available if you ask Tim Levine nicely. And his work is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, there isn't a Whovian who could complain, Frank.
Oh, well, he is. Brian,
and have you seen them all? What's your issue with the new one?
I've seen enough.
Now the thing is, they have changed radically as technology and skills have improved.
The last episode that I saw was the Web of Fear, episode 3.
That was fairly long time ago now.
Well,
the changes. They no longer walk like stuff. Their feet touch the ground, which is magnificent. They don't seem to walk in slow motion anymore. There isn't a weird thing of the mouth just before and after.
But the big positive.
If that's the case, they should fix it then.
Oh well, he has been. I
know, but Simon, the thing is, Simon, though, is when we're trying to be positive about the Whoniverse and everything. All these fan reconstructions and that, in a way, is that a positive or a negative? Because they're not authentic. They're not kind of, the main brand. When actually you want the BBC to do this.
They are. His are absolutely as close as can possibly be got to the original.
But there won't be merchandise like the BBC ones. In other
Oh,
words,
no.
there's a kind of ownership issue, and there's
Exactly, yes. That is
I sparked a massive debate there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, this
well-
brings up an interesting point because there was a recent release of the Wheel in Space episodes,
Oh,
the
yes.
missing episodes, and it was a husband and wife couple. I believe they did a fantastic job. It's not perfect by any means, but it is absolutely fantastic. As soon as I saw it, I grabbed out my Missing Years DVD collection and I watched the animations, popped the DVD in, watched the one, and then I switched back again. And I had an absolute great time. The things that they actually went to the BBC, and the BBC thought about it, but they, in the end, they told them people didn't seem to like the live motion track style of animation. So they said no, but they did give them permission to do it and release it. And that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because it is an intellectual property. And they got they
was
actually
the
got
permission
permission.
only if they didn't make money from it?
Yeah.
Yes,
Probably, yeah. The Wheel in Space one, though, is interesting because it has that three-dimensional quality, and it really, they have followed as much as they can exactly how it should look. Paul Holgate here, for many of us growing up in the 70s and 80s, Doctor Who episodes were as much about reading the novelizations. Fans are spoiled now. There is almost too much. I've got magazines. I've got the Dalek special from Doctor Who magazine. I've got various things. I haven't opened them. I was showing the Detox the other day. I've got loads of things. You can see the cellophane still on them. That's the latest thing on Who Are We. I love all these, but I haven't had time to open them. But the other thing is, even with the Blu-ray collections, which is a positive to me, season 15 I haven't finished. Why? The Sylvester McCoy series that came after that, I haven't even started. And there is an element, apart from YouTubing takes up a bit of your time. The other thing is, I do sadly feel as though what's the state of Doctor Who now is actually tainting my enjoyment of some of the classics. I'll be honest with you. It is starting to feed in. I haven't watched a Davros story since Davros has been retconned. And I know some Doctor Who fans seem to be able to say, I can be clinical about it. No, I know what I know. And when I watch Genesis of the Daleks one day, I will know what they're planning to do with Davros. And then it's in the back of my head and I'm not enjoying the program.
You can give Davros human legs again technologically. That can be fixed in terms of plot. There's always a plot way out of these nasty little holes that we've been dropped in, and a decent writer will be able to use them and fix all the inconsistencies and the unpleasantnesses. I am not worried.
Yeah. Lee Smith says, very surprised we never had a Doctor Who cartoon spin-off series, and that means not doing the missing episodes or something else. I loved the Star Trek animated series in the 70s. Absolutely loved them.
I'm only just watching them now.
Right now?
Yes.
Sorry?
Oh, I heard there was a rumor recently that one of the projects is a Doctor Who animated feature.
He said there was a secrets project, so of course that might be it. Because
I know I read it recently. Somebody said it was an idea. Part of the Whoniverse.
David Hardin, and just as you're coming in, Rachel, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
David Hardin's agreeing. That is why I can't watch the new stuff anymore. I didn't watch RTD2 and Chibnall to damage my enjoyment of the classic series, and I suppose therefore you have to leave. I know, it's sad. Go on, Rachel.
So I do actually have a positive about the last series.
Yeah.
I don't know how positive it is, but it is positive. The concepts are there in the series. The concepts and the ideas, they are definitely there. They're just not executed very well. Like, for example, obviously, opening of 73 yards, that should have been carried throughout, but I love the opening.
Yep.
Now I'm going to go to the Devil's Cord. This is sacrilege. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm just about to say it. But here we go. The idea behind the Maestro is brilliant. However, it shouldn't have been played by a drag queen. And again, it should have been much more epic. It should have been played by a woman. But I think the ideas behind the character and like trapping the Beatles and destroying all of that, you know, I like that idea. That manipulation and the wiliness behind that character just wasn't executed well.
The death of music, meaning the death of a hope for the future, was an excellent concept, I thought.
And so Devil's Cord, poorly executed, but the concept behind it is good. It just
So we've got an interesting panel here because Rachel, as it there, says Devil's Cord, interesting idea. Brian underneath, that's when he stopped watching Doctor Who. So go on, Brian.
I also have a couple of feelings about that episode. We know how RTD likes to jump in and say Davros can't be in his chair anymore because that's offensive, and the Doctor can't have a sonic screwdriver like this anymore because it looks too much like a gun, etc., etc., etc. But he's allowed to write in a drag queen as a villain. Now, if anybody else had done that, you know that they would have been in trouble, big time. And it's almost, you know, he had said, I think another thing, like no actor should be able to play a gay character except for a gay actor. And that's a double-edged sword as well, because it's like, well, what? Then gay actors can only get roles as gay characters? Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't believe that's what he's saying, but I'm just saying there's a freedom that's being lost in all of this. And I just don't like, you know, you pointed out some things about the story that could have worked if it was done differently. Perhaps the whole season, if they had done things just a little differently, it would have made it more palatable to both the people who are on the fence right now, or even leaning over to the other side.
I could go through every single.
I better put it higher there. That looks more family friendly.
I could go through every single episode and pick out the concepts that were really good, except for maybe Space Babies. Mm-hmm. But you know, they just weren't
in that. And the basic concept of the break between we've got to have babies. It's certainly about how we're going to make them. We make them artificially, but then they run out of money. But you can't kill babies. But there isn't any way of getting them back down. That was very clever. The stupidity of a planet that was there specifically to accept refugees, but only if they managed to get there under their own control, was horribly redolent of people coming across the water in boats of the English Channel.
But he did it in years and years. He doesn't have to do it again.
Well, he did it very, very well in years and years, though.
Well, yeah, but
and it was for a different audience in a different way.
But not in it. Right. Put it this way. My argument is, if it's a very important topic or issue, it deserves more than a 45-minute wham bam, thank you, ma'am, stupid script to deliver it.
Yes.
You know, that's the thing. Do it. Give it courtesy. Don't make a joke about it, because in the end, space babies, refugees, I made a joke about it because in the end, that was the level of it. Our puppet ended up being a space baby because it just got to that level. Refugees, it's a much more serious issue than just doing a silly plot about methane propelled spaceships and bogey monsters. It's just, that wasn't deserving of it. But Years and Years was much better. And that's what I mean. Why is he repeating that?
Because the story needs to be told, it needs to be seeded into young minds, I think, is his argument.
I don't know what they'd have thought of that, though, as an idea.
But I would bet they completely missed that point.
Yeah. Now, Mad Mackham, I always say it wrong. He's a Mackham. That means he's Sunderland. I'm Middlesbrough. He said earlier he's actually complimented the Sense Sphere, which is aggravating him because we have tension in the northeast between Sunderland and Middlesbrough. But anyway, I take that. Thank you very much. He says, a good concept, badly executed. That could be on RTD's headstone one day, hopefully many, many years in the future. The truth is, though, I've got my English teacher head on. Another way of us saying that same criticism is, it needs another redraft, mate. It needs another redraft.
Needs a script editor.
Absolutely. Yes, yeah. I agree.
You know,
it doesn't work like that anymore. He's in charge.
Correct. Yes. And that is
And
a
that's-
mistake, and everybody's paying for it, including him.
I mean, we all know that Tom Baker had a reputation for being a diva on the set as time went on. It
Towards the
became
end,
his show.
Yes.
Tom, it was his show. He resented K9. He didn't get along with Louise Jameson at first.
Did later on.
Know, that's yeah. I love Tom to death. He's my favorite as far as the classic series is concerned. But yeah, too much power, and it can cause a lot of trouble. Yeah. And even this guy isn't my favorite Doctor for the new series. It's actually Peter Capaldi. Happen to look this way. Maybe in another 20 years, if I'm still alive, I'll pull off a Capaldi.
Well, you know, Brian, the David Tennant I liked was with the floppy hair in the Christmas Invasion and New
Oh
Earth,
yeah,
the early days.
Yeah.
Not when he went.
That better?
Yeah,
that's the problem with hair product. You try to do it, just bounces right back again.
Because that's it. Because I always thought I thought he pitched it so well when he started David Tennant. I really did.
He did.
And then as the hair went more and more wild, I thought, oh, you're going to go like zany, which is what I think Jodie Whittaker picked up on in a way. And I thought, why is the Doctor zany? The Doctor was never zany. But this is where RTD's taken things really, which
wonderfully gauche.
Yeah. Make him Bohemian, make him Edwardian in style, which is almost a reference to H.G. Wells's Time Machine. I mean, that, you know, we know how Doctor Who started, and we know it was a hell of a nod to H.G. Wells's Time Machine. And now we're going all mad with it's a zany scientist. Excuse me, you're really dumbing everything down. Why does scientist have to be zany? I never understand that. That's a cartoon stereotype. It's like the Einstein with the hair thing.
The way they operate the TARDIS now, just thumping the keys, you know, just whacking stuff up and down. I mean, no, that's just wrong. And Hartnell and everybody else beforehand worked out what the levers and knobs did and made sure that they would do that again next time. Not anymore. And that is a mistake. Unless you can say that he's controlled intellectual vibes.
We'll talk about intellectual vibes. Where you're going to lose all your intellectual rights and your own property rights and your own body rights here, Simon, because Lee Smith is saying Simon should spike his hair and beard. So you're getting told what to do as part of the panel now. I mean, everybody has to dress for the occasion.
Well, I were here straight off the train. I was listening on the tube.
You were, I know.
And I haven't had an opportunity to do anything. I would have changed to black, I can assure you. Yes. I will do next time.
Oh, no, I mean, I know. And Mad Mac, I keep doing it. Mad Mackham, do we agree RTD knows he's in a bad spot and that's why he's getting defensive? Then it makes sense he's attacking fans.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
But he attacked fans from the start.
He attacks again. I don't think he did. I think his comments were picked up in order to make it looks that way, in order to make a good story for press values. I really do not like the press.
Deadman says RTD attacked fans first. I'm trying to trace back. I'm sure that it's around about the Davros retcon, the Children in Need special, that did not land well. And then I think since then, all bets are off. But in a very early interview, he was basically saying these are dark times and people kind of need to get with the type of Doctor I'm presenting now. And since then, he's just drilling down the same way. I think we showed recently, he said, you know, the Doctor's going to... People don't like the Doctor being emotional. Well, get used to it because in season 2, he's even more emotional. It's like, bang, go away, which, I find is the most strange marketing ploy in history.
Well, that might have just been an explanation of what he's already written. Oh, dear, you've got no choice because it's already in the can. Although it's not a can.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be that. And Ncuti's comment of touching grass, when I looked it up to find out what on earth that meant, it just basically meant spend a little bit of time talking to nature rather than just sitting at the keyboard. Now, that I can fully understand and accept. Don't take it so desperately seriously.
However, you know, I can imagine if I said that. I mean, people aren't going to go and find the kind of, you know, the etymology of a quotation or anything. So, for example, as a teacher, if I'd said to a parent, "Go and touch grass," and then they complain, and then they complain to the head, and then I go, "Oh no, it was a reference to." He just said that's wrong.
I agree. I agree. Yes.
And Ncuti needs to. There wasn't a respect in that sentence. There wasn't.
I agree.
I know you're trying to do your good old contrarian bit. Grant G, you've got to do the puppets grilling a panel member. We do have the show ready, which is a Doctor Who chat show. So you will see one around about the Christmas period, and I'm lining the rest up because they're all willing. Look at them all; they're all eager. So I tell you what, this is really getting people going. The Peter Venkman fan site who's been here all night. Each regeneration featured a different aspect of his personality, and apparently RTD and company didn't seem to see this. He said that the old Doctors were pompous, and I keep going back to that. It's just, you know, they were pompous.
Was it a criticism or a description?
Well, everything RTD says seems to have a pejorative link to it.
Is that just the way the things are coming across? Because when you saw the chat with him
Sorry, Simon.
There you go. I have dealt with Kenneth Clark live in. I can cope. Don't you worry. Yes.
Anyway, shall I cheer us up a little bit with something else? And here we go. Let's have a look. Give us a sec. Yeah, we haven't done this for a while, but are you going to buy one of these? I'll say very quickly.
No.
Yes. They've got a red one from Joy to the World now. Just to go with the blue one. There it is.
Oh, I see. It looked like
a foot
of a Star Trek craft.
Yes, it does actually. It looks like Voyager.
Yes. Nasal free.
This is what I mean. I think there's no respect for the series when the sonic screwdriver, the one you have, Brian, is a version of. We can put them all in up. I did a space junk once, and we could line them all up, and you can see the similar style. However, that in front of us is just way beyond.
That is a Nike shoe with a rotary phone in the middle, a couple of buttons and lights. It's dreadful.
The new Apple mouse.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But Brian, Brian, you know, RTD again was saying that what you're holding there, make sure you hold in. Show me that, so I don't know.
It looks like a gun.
Yes, it's a gun, and he doesn't want kids.
This is not a gun. Okay, this here, not a gun.
Yeah.
I think. What did you just put me full screen so that I could demonstrate that?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my goodness! I don't want to be known for that.
He's out of focus. Don't worry.
So what do you think of all these? I mean, look, it's a two-toned chrome edition. Comes in iridescent magenta rose and subtle green finish. There you go. I feel as though I'm Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen or somebody. I mean,
is that where what is it? I can't remember the name of the biscuit. It looks like a perfect biscuit holder at the top. Jammy Dodger biscuit holder. There you go.
I don't know, but Rachel got in early. I mean, if I still had Jeremy, if I still had Jeremy on, I think he'd say yes to that. The model of the UFO from the Dalek Invasion of Earth movie. I mean, although I wouldn't know where to put it, and you'd have to paint it and everything. But
that's not yours.
No.
Oh,
but it does remind me. I did have that. And that, worryingly, And I'd be interested if anybody in the thread or on our panel has it, because I had that, but of course I was a kid. I played with it. So the sucker went and got broken.
I'm not surprised.
And yeah, that you can see how long it is. That got broken. I've still got it. I don't know if I put batteries in whether it would work. But the trouble is, guess how much you could get one for now?
Oh heck!
Oh gosh, a lot.
I'm going to say £100.
119.
That was a good guess.
Hey, the showcase showdown goes to me.
Yeah,
yeah. That is.
Yeah.
Really, 190
without going over.
I know.
That's the 1974,
and I've broken it. But I do have that. I do have that. I think I've lost his sonic screwdriver because that was tiny, but I've still got that.
It's
Anyway,
not how big it is; it's what he does with it.
Oh, don't go there. Oh, look, panel, we've had, this was our 1 year anniversary. I didn't dare count how many panelists I've had on over the year. But I've really appreciated the time and effort everybody's put in. Rachel, you've put in some shifts for us. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
And please, and you know, in a minute, I will talk about your channel, so don't worry. And of course, Simon's and But thank you to all the panel. Simon, you're a fantastic, welcome new addition, just as you are, Brian. It went down well last Sunday. People loved the panel and loved the range of discussion. The range of contexts, they like the backgrounds of everybody, so that really worked. Anyway, Rachel, you've been busy, I am sure. Let me guess, streaming and editing and stuff.
Yeah, I have been doing that. Yes, I'm a little bit behind because everything's taken a bit longer at the moment, so I have to write a script for tomorrow's video. I haven't even filmed it yet, but that's what happened.
Well, that's the problem you see.
Your lights
You
and things
don't
like
film video. That's where you're making the mistake. As a video engineer.
No, I'm switching over setup at the moment, so it's just taking a bit longer than normal. I need to invest in a couple of bits that will help me with the changeover of the setup, but that's okay. I will get there. But yes, today's video was Arc of Infinity. We looked at Arc of Infinity. If you want to join me for just Doctor Who, that's on a Sunday. And then on the other days, we cover just the crazy stuff that goes on in the world. So normally within the entertainment, but sometimes we step out of the entertainment as well.
And while you're talking, and yeah, please do tune into Rachel's channel. You know,
where is it?
I've been watching you, Rachel.
He does that too badly. He does that too well.
Witch's cackle on the channel, though, by the way, just so you know, you already get it on here.
Give us the link. I don't know.
I'll drop it into the chat. But yes, it's chat about it, don't shout about it. And it's at chat_about it.
Yeah.
All right. So a general thing.
YouTube channel. Yeah.
Mine, unfortunately, keeps getting dirty talks instead of
No.
talks.
It was Rachel's show and Brendan's that got me sucked into all of this right now. I mean, I never thought I would be on this show. I'm so grateful to be part of it. But I believe it may have started first actually watching Chat About It, Don't Shout About It, because that's the whole concept of this. Is that when the Contrarian came on, I was like, ooh, this is going to be good. And no, it's better than good. It's great. Because he may have he agrees with some of us sometimes, and sometimes he doesn't.
Yeah,
and
Brian,
we discuss it.
But Brian,
He's
when
great.
he agrees, when the Contrarian agrees with us, that's when he's right.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And when I disagree, that's when you're wrong.
Yeah, but the concept behind my channel was, you know, I saw like all these ridiculous that people were not talking about things anymore, and I was just like, let's talk, let's bring it back to talking, and hopefully it does do that. People seem to like it, so I get some.
I stay off of the internet forums, stay off of internet forums and all that. If you actually want to talk or something, that's one thing, but
you have to. So
this is just the perfect forum for people to get
Well,
together and talk about this.
It's like the Doctor Who detox on Friday. I was laughing my head off. I really hadn't got the energy or the time to prepare for it. I did it and I laughed my head off. And we've had some great laughs tonight, and actually forcing myself to look at old clips and that. And you think, God, it's been a good year, actually. I'm sure, Rachel, when you look back at your, you think, oh my God, I can't believe we I made all that.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I mean, I've done a lot since
Yeah.
starting my channel, and I've come in leaps and bounds, and it's only going to get better with quality. So
anyway, there
I
she
hope.
is. YouTube at chat_about it. That's how you find her. As Heather says, the Sensorites unite. John Steed says, is that T? T's in there, but I actually was ready. I deserve a treat tonight because it's been a hell of a year. You lot have turned me to drink.
Am I allowed to sing the jingle from the early '80s to that song, or is that illegal?
I don't think we can.
No.
Oh yeah, Disparoo. We had Disparoo on as well, didn't we? Yeah,
we did. It's just been stunning, and you told me Disparoo had shouted us out, and I said hello to him, and I said thank you. I think always politeness helps.
Yeah,
and then he then very politely said, "I'll come and help." Yeah, and we had a good laugh because that was really looking at the 15th Doctor.
Yeah, we got some viewers from Disparoo here, so hello.
Yeah, and so it has been absolutely amazing what's happened. I've had Sam. I mean, I shouldn't name people because that gets ridiculous. But we've got Simon Lydiard going all the way back to Scarrow Fanzine, who's come on. Daryl Joyce, illustrator, Neil Cole, who does the Sci-Fi Museum. We've had a fair few people. But what I've tried to do, and other streams might do it differently, but we're all doing our own thing. Is I set this up for just fans. I never, ever will say I've got inside knowledge. I will never say, to be honest, that I've got somebody who makes Big Finish or makes something for the program. I'm not seeking those people. I just want this to be for fans, ordinary fans who know nobody else. You know what I mean? We don't have contacts. We just us. I think there has to be a program. There just has to be a program. I don't like sometimes to watch somebody seen as a super fan. I'm thinking, I'm sorry. No. I don't like that. I'm for equality. So this show is for fans. Okay. And I will never change my voice.
Very different.
I'm not a super fan at all. I'm just the guy. I'm just a guy watching.
Yeah,
that's all.
No, I will never change my voice for thinking, if I'm a bit more polite or if I don't criticize, I might get somebody on one day. So you'll always just get authentic. I won't get any stars on. Doesn't matter. Couldn't give a damn. So it's just for fans. Thank you, Divine and Dragon. This show rocks. Please like and subscribe, everybody.
It really matters, yes. The subscriptions, why people watch but don't hit the subscribe button. I heard people saying, because YouTube's rich enough. Well, the people making it are not rich enough.
No. I mean,
it's not the subscribe anyway that gets the money in. It's the viewing time. That's one of the things that I've learned since getting monetized. Yeah, it's the viewing time and the advertising.
Oh, I hate adverts. I haven't got any on my stuff. Well,
here we go.
You can switch them off, and you still get.
I have.
Yeah, you still get monetized stuff.
Well, I'll just say, there you go. I mean, thank you for reminding me of Disparoo, Rachel. But yeah, as Steve A says, Disparoo shout out got me here. Shout out to him. Oh gosh, yeah. Thank you. Anybody being decent, anybody, and I used to shout out Type 40. I will always show you who I have respect for if I watch them. My trouble is I don't watch many streams. That's all. I'm just honest. I'm
really
making
like
these,
and
that's all. But I really do agree. I mean, I have no problem. There's no such thing as saying, "Oh, I can't say that." Of course you can. It's been authentic. So. Yes, I appreciate. I will always say thank you to somebody like Disparoo for doing that because he doesn't have to. Nobody has to. And some people with ego will never big up any other channel but No, I think good for you. Sean, who has his podcast called Review It Yourself, and he's been one of our panelists. Well done, Brendan, Jamie and all. I'm proud to have been on this awesome show, and I'm sure you'll be on again. But please, everybody, check out Review It Yourself. They do movie reviews. Now, Contrarian, you also do stuff, and where can we find you?
Well, doing a straight search for Torty Talks sadly turns up Dirty Talks, which I have nothing to do with at all, I can assure you. But if you say Torty Talks in quotes Simon Anthony, you should be able to catch it all right. I started it out on Podbean a long time ago. Then when I found out that I could have done it for free on Anchor, that worked extremely well. But then Anchor was bought by Spotify, and now it's rather complicated. I can't seem to get in anymore myself to change things. But Spotify and Apple have got my stuff on it. So if you go to Apple and Spotify and go for Torty Talks, TORTYTALKS, there you'll have me, and you'll see a little of me over a green banner.
And other than that, he's also Santa Claus. Go and see him there. Zero Room. You
Excellent
also
ice cream viewers of London. There you go.
I do have a page, but at the moment, like I said, it's all Pink Floyd guitar solos. Maybe I should put on the costume at least and have the doctor playing Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
that would make
Tenant
more
doing
sense.
Pink Floyd. That there might be a need there somewhere. Yeah, that's it.
Why not? But yeah, no other channels, no channels, not yet.
Well, Lee Smith, you'll find there will be a review. In fact, there'll be 2 reviews of the Christmas special. That's all to be rearranged. But what I will say is look out for our classic review of Planet of the Daleks over Christmas and Robots of Death. And hopefully the Christmas special works.
You're doing it as well?
What's that, sorry?
5 Doctors you're doing as well?
We're doing the 5 Doctors. We've done Carnival of Monsters. We have got them ready to go because we all need a rest. And obviously, my next live one will be the Detox on Friday. But then after that, it'll be just after Christmas when we'll do the review of the Christmas special. Thank you, everybody's been lovely in the thread. I almost don't want to go because I don't want to be rude when people are being so nice. That's the truth. Tickled by Big Speed. So glad to have you around, Sensoria crew. Thank you. There's some lovely comments, and it's been a nice show to do because people have just kind of enjoyed the passion. And I think I said in some of my earlier streams, and you almost forget when you're making loads, don't you, Rachel? You just blah, blah, blah. But the truth was, there is actually more that unites us about Doctor Who than divides us. And I think sometimes we have to remember that. I mean, I can try and empathize that RTD does love Doctor Who. It's just I wonder why he's doing certain things. That's all. But I don't hate. No hate. It's just you sometimes will criticize. So Greg Smith, yes, Robots of Death, guaranteed. Look for us over the Christmas period. The puppets are in it as well because they do a puppet parody. In fact, we're getting quite into them, me and Jamie. The puppet parodies of each classic review. They're going to take over the show soon, and I can just sit up with my lager and that's all. But anyway, it's 3 hours. Thank you, everybody in the thread, all our supporters. Thank you. And thank you, Jamie, downstairs, our puppeteer as well. But no, have a good rest of weekend, and thank you for being on.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Actually, go on, Torty Talk. Go on, you're of Santa Claus. Say it really with a ho ho ho. Go on.
I don't do ho ho. I do Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And thank you very much for coming. And here's a little present for you.
All right. And your present is we're off now. Bye. Detox on Friday.